We're at King's Western House in Bristol, a historic manor house in Somerset, where people from all over the UK have been gathering, eager to have their questions answered. The public have arrived with burning questions about their family's past, and they're keen to get some answers. On hand to help, we have our team of genealogical and historical experts. Historian and writer Tessa Dunlop uncovers the rise and fall of a Pearly king's Victorian ancestors.
This is not the end that Gentleman James would have envisaged, I don't think.
Law lecturer and historian Onyeka Nubia reveals one family's connection to the partition of India.
Your ancestors were in the midst of all of this that was taking place.
And genetic genealogist Brad Argent tries to solve a mystery for one woman who thinks she could be linked to a famous Welsh landmark. Janice Markey from Wales grew up hearing stories about her family's alleged royal connections. Can Brad confirm her regal links today?
I spent a lot of time with my maternal grandmother when I was growing up, and she was a very prolific storyteller. She used to tell my sister and myself that we were descended from the Herberts, the lords of Raglan Castle. So that started me really on the road to trying to find out if that was true.
And I think that story about that connection comes from this handsome woman here.
Yes, that's my maternal grandmother, Mary Ann Waters, nee James. Apparently, this relationship was a direct line through my great-great-grandmother, Anne Rumsey. And my grandmother always used to say when we went past the Herberts family seat, Glenarth Court, that should be ours. And she always maintained that we were related to nobility, but whether this is true or not, I don't know.
Well, Your Majesty, why don't we have a look and see what we can find out? Well, what do we know about this stunning building, right? 15th century, this was built by the Herbert family, right? And he built it more as a statement than as a means of defence. And the Herberts, as you know, are connected with the Tudors. But the question is, are you connected? The short answer is yes. The longer answer is but. So we have your family, the Rumseys, right? They marry into the Vaughans, right? And then that connection goes back, and from a distant Vaughan, there is this other Vaughan tree, right? And that connects into the Herberts, and then off into Europe, right? The heads of Europe. So your connection is distant, extended, but by marriage, and it's all the way over here, but there is a convoluted path through history through which we can trace a connection to you and this grand building. Now, you might not get residency rights.
I'm a bit amazed, actually, because we always thought that it was more legend than fact. They'll all have to bow down to me now, won't they?
So, Janice, you know we asked you to take a DNA test?
Yes.
All right, because sometimes it helps us with the research that we're doing.
Right.
And you'll be happy to know, when we looked at the results of the DNA test, that you were pretty Welsh, right? But, you know, I didn't need a DNA test to know that.
No.
But there's more to reveal.
What?
If you just turn around for me and look at this rather handsome woman here, this is your cousin Barbara.
What? Where are you from? Where do you live?
I live in Kent.
Oh, no, the innocence.
So you're not only related to Barbara, but also to Barbara's sisters, who are here. And two of them over there.
I don't believe it.
How know we're related.
So, because Barbara has taken a DNA test and you've taken a DNA test, we're able to look at your samples. And there is a distant but confirmed biological connection between the two of you. And it's a distant cousin relation, but the two of you probably have a common ancestor somewhere between 200 and 300 years ago.
Wow. Gosh. Can we share the castle?
As long as you pay the bills.
There's a lot of homework to do to find out how you're connected.
That's amazing.
Sisters.
Absolutely amazing. I can't go with that.
So, again, thank you so much. And I think we can all agree the world is a very small place.
Oh, it is. I should go and have a cup of tea with my new family. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Fabulous. Barbara was flabbergasted and I was flabbergasted because I didn't expect to have anything like that happen to me this afternoon. I was absolutely amazed.
Meeting Janice today was fantastic. And personally, I couldn't believe it when she turned around and I was told that that was a relation. It was so unexpected.
We've not only been able to confirm a link for Janice to the ancestral family of Wales, Raglan Castle, but DNA test results have also linked her to Barbara and her family. But Barbara Anderson came to the show for a different reason.
My sister's grandson had a blood test done and it revealed that he had sickle cell trait, and we had a DNA test done. And it came up in the DNA test that some of us have got the sickle cell trait. And it showed that we'd got West African DNA. We thought this was really unusual. And we found out that our granddad was mixed race. We would really love to find out about our family history and where this trait has come from.
So, Barbara, welcome.
Thank you.
You just got some reasonably shocking information, didn't you?
It was. I was so surprised.
So you came here, and Janice came here, completely separately, completely independently, both had separate stories, and yet you discover that you're actually related? How does that feel?
It's amazing. And to think we've been chatting outside to each other, not knowing that we were related. It's fantastic.
But you really came here today to find out something else, didn't you?
Yes. We know that we have some African ancestry in our family, so we're hoping that you'll be able to help us today to find out where that person is in our family tree.
OK, so sickle cell, that's the sort of genetically inherited trait that is, strongly correlated with people of African descent.
That's right.
So who's in this photo?
That's me. This is Janice. That's Janice. That's Evelyn. There's Evelyn. My sister Stella and Ian, they couldn't be here today. And this little one at the front, the youngest, this is Karen.
You clearly, because you've had the work done, you know that there's African in there. The question now becomes, well, where did that come from? So we have this lovely picture. So this is Robert and Rose.
Robert and Rose.
Right, and they are your grandparents.
They are.
So if we look at Robert, like, we know that you've got sort of African. If we have a look at the family tree, here's you, and then there's Robert.
Yes.
And then there's Father Unknown.
Oh.
Father Unknown has actually fathered a lot of people. And you have a story, you have a theory that you think the African might have come in from question mark there.
That's right. That's what we've sort of been told. The myth of the family is that an African captain came on a ship into the Clyde. This is where all my family lived. They lived there for over 100 years. And he had a relationship with Mary. And we believe that that's where our African ancestry may be from, and it's something we've always wanted to know, whether that's true or not.
So, let's start with the bad news.
Oh.
We can't confirm or deny that,
No.
right? Father unknown is rather elusive. But, and there's, as I'm sure you're aware by now, there's always a but. So we got you to take a DNA test, as you know. And you can see here quite clearly lots of West Coast African DNA.
Wow.
Right? We've got plenty of evidence to support that there's a connection. But what you might not realise is that connection actually comes from Robert's mother's side.
Oh.
The Anderson side.
Oh.
So, sure, his unknown father might have been African, of African descent, but so was his mother.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant that we know that. That's fantastic.
And the way we know that is because we're able to connect you with someone else who's taken the test and also has African DNA.
Wow. What a day. What a day. I can't believe it. It's fantastic. Something we've always wanted to know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Barbara, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for answering that question. That's fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Elated. It's been a brilliant day. Finding out about our African ancestry, it's just been amazing. And that's answered our questions, so thank you.
So Barbara and her family now know that their West African DNA also comes from their grandmother's side of the family. As well as a new cousin, they leave today with a fresh understanding of their identity. Joining us now is a real-life king, a Pearly king, in fact, with a family rumour that dates back to the 1800s. It's all about a long-lost fortune which is tied up in one of London's most famous landmark pubs, the Windmill in Clapham Common.
My name's Jerry Baxter. I'm from Streatham in Lambeth in South London. And my wife's an East Ender. We are the Pearly King and Queen of Streatham. The Pearlys are unique because it started in 1875, and it was a young lad that actually thought, how could he raise money for the local workhouse where he was brought up in and the local hospital? And he thought, if I made a suit covering the buttons, and he attracted so much attention with his collecting tins that it spread all over London, and families continued with those titles because they were given a title for each borough. I love being a Pearly King because of what it does. I mean, it is a family tradition. I love the history of families, and I've always been interested. And Dad had said to me, the Windmill pub in Clapham Common was owned by an ancestor, and I'm not sure how far back. And he said that there was some problems, mental illness. The owner possibly was taken to an asylum, and the government took the whole lot. It would be lovely to sort of go past it and say, yeah, one of my ancestors owned that, and actually say a little bit more about how they owned it, why they owned it, why they got rid of it. Could we be secret millionaires? I'd probably find out that they were horse thieves that used to visit it or something, but yeah, I'd love to know as much as possible.
Gerald, or Jerry, I'm told I can call my king.
Yes, you may.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's find out about the Windmill pub to give us some clues. There was indeed a windmill in the 17th century, the 1600s, an ideal location, of course, and then later on it became an ideal staging post for coaches passing through. Not nearly as la-di-da as it is now, that's for sure. But it would have been a great place to make money, to be honest, if you were a publican. So let's find out what we can. Here we have a family tree, and we're tracking back through the Baxter line. That was the tip-off you gave us, that this was in your paternal line, going up through the Baxters.
That's right.
So here we have our Pearly king, Gerald Baxter. We've got a James Baxter, born in 1848, so we're mid-19th century, if you can see there, your great-grandfather. Well, we decided to start with your great-great-grandfather, James Baxter.
Yep.
And we identified James Baxter's baptism.
Yes.
You can see there, his father and mother are William and Sarah Augusta. Rather grand.
Oh.
You can see that William, the father of James, who's being baptised, is a shoemaker, not a publican, but no matter. Let's stick with the James and the William pairing and see what becomes of them. Because here we have the census from 1841. So some 20 years later, and I'm going to point out for you a William Baxter, and you can see he's married to Sarah, and he's got a son called James. And you'll remember 20 years earlier, he was just a humble shoemaker, but now he's calling himself a writer.
Oh.
And if you look down, his son James is not getting his hands dirty. He is a clerk, okay? So they're not doing badly as a pair.
No.
Now, 6 years later, James acquires a wife, Sarah Ann. Let's now look at that marriage certificate. Okay, 1847, James Baxter with Sarah Ann Shepherd. But you can see that James, when asked to give his rank or profession, says he's a gentleman. He's above work by this stage, okay? So he's gone from being a clerk to being a gentleman. So things are going rather well. Well, not every story has a happy ending, does it? And sadly, James, who married Sarah, she had 6 children in a 10-year period. She died prematurely, about 10 years after their marriage, approximately. And that had a dire effect on the family. The father, William, also dies. So we see James and his old mother, Sarah Augusta, in charge of 6 children. That situation doesn't last long successfully. Unfortunately, we believe that James and Sarah ended up in workhouses and the 4 youngest children in a poor law school. The Poor Law of 1834, of course, was designed really to solve the problem of unsightly poor on the street. And it was seen as a way of incentivising the poor, so it wasn't just pure charity.
Oh,
you know,
no.
you can come and be given a roof over your head, but you work for it.
Yes.
And this is not the end that Gentleman James would have envisaged, I don't think, when he married 10 years earlier in 1847. And I regret to say there's evidence that both James and Sarah could have died in the workhouse. Is this a shock to you, to find a kind of a dead end in a workhouse for a big part of your family tree?
Definitely. I mean, I didn't know anything about that. And it isn't. It's not the most pleasant of outcomes.
It would have been hell, I imagine.
God.
But I'm afraid we failed to find anyone attached to the Windmill pub in Clapham Common. However, we bore in mind our quest, because you're here today, something must have gone right, and you're still carrying this family story, the Windmill pub in Clapham Common. And we felt maybe we'd missed a trick. So we decided to return to James Baxter before it went horribly wrong and he ended up in the workhouse. You'll remember he got married.
Yes.
Sarah Ann Shepherd, 1847. Now, earlier we looked at his father. We were focused on William Baxter being a gentleman. But if you look below William Baxter, the other father, it's a Thomas Shepherd. And do you see in the rank or profession of father, he is named as a licensed victualler.
Yes.
And a victualler is?
The pub
The person who's licensed to serve alcohol.
Yeah.
So suddenly, we're on track, we feel. The quest is to find out if this Thomas is in some way connected to the Windmill pub in Clapham Common. Now, we could find his children's baptism certificates, and in those, there was confirmation that he was a publican in various different licensed buildings. But it was proving elusive. looking for the Windmill pub, OK? No clear or concrete evidence. And in fact, he proved a bit elusive. We couldn't find him in a couple of censuses. Where had this Thomas Shepherd gone? So we decided to change track. And instead, we looked for his will. Because if you're a publican, you're a man of some means, and therefore it would be assumed, leave or at least write a will. And Thomas didn't let us down, you'll be glad to hear.
Oh,
OK?
right.
And here I can show you, written in October 1829, his will. And I'm going to point to you the word, the Windmill.
Yes.
So he's a leaseholder. Remember, he doesn't own the pub.
Yeah.
He says, I give them the leasehold house now occupied by me, called or known by the sign of the Windmill, and situated in the New Cut Lambeth. You, Mr. Pearly King, have been looking for the wrong pub.
Oh, dear.
And where do you live? What borough?
In Lambeth.
Right. So the pub of your ancestors has been right under your nose. So how do we feel about that, then? Are you pleased that you're actually located in Lambeth?
Well, yes, exactly. That is so good to know. Thank you.
Thank you. It was great fun.
Brilliant. Fantastic news. So it's added credence to the story that we've had, only just with a slight twist. The pub that I am connected with is 3 miles from the pub we thought we were. Clapham Common, well, it's all right, but the Cut's much better.
Another case solved, as we've discovered the fate of Jerry's Victorian ancestors and also confirmed he's connected to the Windmill pub, just not the one he thought. And the discoveries keep coming. Can Brad resolve Janice Markey's mystery about what became of her great-grandfather?
So, Janice, your second question was related to Jesse James. Right? Not the outlaw Jesse James, but this very handsome man here.
Another story my grandmother used to tell me was about Jesse James. And Jesse James was my great-grandfather. He was a stonemason, and he met my great-grandmother, Rebecca. And Jesse and Rebecca got married, and they had 6 children, all girls. And Jesse built Plumtree Cottage, their family home. Absolutely gorgeous. All of a sudden, Jesse disappeared. He went to live in Australia. Jesse's brother was a sheep farmer out there, and eventually found Jesse in lodgings in Melbourne. He went to this house and he said to the landlady, I understand you've got a man here called Jesse James. I'm his brother. We haven't heard of him for a long time. And on the mantelpiece, he saw a picture of my great-grandmother, Rebecca, and her 6 lovely daughters. And why didn't he come back home? I just can't comprehend it. Unless something awful would have happened to him. And that's something I would like to find out.
What's your connection to this man?
That's my great-grandfather, Jesse James, the father of my maternal grandmother, Mary Ann Waters. He was a very good father. He worked hard for his family and gave them a good living. And then one day he picked up sticks and went to Australia and left his wife and 6 daughters, never to return.
Disappearing doesn't sound like the act of this man, right? Here is a man who he's worked very hard, amassed enough money to be able to build a home for his mum and a home for his family. And then something occurs and he goes. So what we have to do is we have to become detectives, right? And we need to look for evidence. And we need to get some facts that put him in a place at a point in time. Hence, census records. Census records are a goldmine for those of us doing family history. And here we can see on the records there, Jesse James, head of the household, stonemason, 48 years old, with all those children. And then we skip forward 10 years. And here we can see Rebecca, and she's suddenly the head of the house.
Right.
But her occupation is charwoman.
Charwoman?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so she's a cleaner. Well, we don't know where Jessie is. He's gone. But being a resilient woman, she's just gone out and got a job and got to work and supported her children. But it's obvious that somewhere between the 1881 census and the 1891 census, Jessie goes. And this is what he left behind, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my grandmother, the big one, Mary Ann.
So what was it that motivated Jessie to go, and particularly go to Australia? We know his brother had gone before him, right? So perhaps he knew he'd have family there.
Yeah.
But why? We can't find any particular documents that point to why he might have gone. So what we have to do is we have to look at what was happening at the time. And we also have to think about Jessie's character. So here is a man who clearly cares for his family. And he's a man who is quite happy to travel the world in order to seek fortune. And we know that. And so what he's probably done is he's probably got to a point in life where he says, I need to do something better for my family. And he was hearing about the gold rush. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's the thing that drove him, but we have to think these things were going on. So what I want to do is posit a theory. He was clearly a man who saw opportunities and took them, right? If you like, he was kind of an entrepreneur. He got on a boat. He made that journey. Maybe he didn't make it in the goldfields. Maybe he didn't become the success that he felt he needed to be. Maybe shame kept him pegged to Australia. And they must have weighed heavily on this man. So we had a little bit of a look to see what we could find about the final moments of his life. Jessie was 75 years old when he went to hospital. I think Jessie probably was showing signs of dementia and Alzheimer's. When he was in hospital, he wasn't treated particularly well.
Right.
They cast him out of the hospital.
They threw him out of the hospital when he was sick?
Yeah. But I want now to look at this rather stark headline. Hancock was actually the man who was responsible for the mistreatment of...
How did they mistreat him?
He was treated very poorly. Hancock's history with the hospital was very checkered. And it led to Jessie being abused. Abused, I mean, let's call it what it is. He was abused. And there was a public outcry about the way he was treated.
Never.
But he had one man who came to his defence. George Greenway.
George Greenway.
Was his friend. It must have been a strong relationship, because as soon as Jessie needed help, George was there. George paid for the bills. George stood by his side. George led the public outcry against this. They took him back into the hospital and he was cared for until he passed away.
Right.
And I think it's testament to the kind of man that he was, that when he was at the end of his life, when he was down and out, he had friends there to support him. And you know what? And I think Rebecca, all the way on the other side of the world, would love to have known that. You know, we found him buried in a cemetery in Perth, 9,118 miles away from his wife. So, sorry, it's a little emotional for me. I don't know how it is for you.
It's awful. Like, I was expecting him to have been a bigamist, you know, to have disappeared.
There's no evidence of that.
No, but that's what we thought, you know, because he was sort of a bit of a man of the world. But for this, it's a complete shock.
He was a good man, Jessie.
Yes, poor old Jessie.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you. After hearing the sad story of his demise, I'm definitely going to put flowers on his grave. I don't know whether Brian's coming with me, but I'm going.
It's been quite the day for Janice, as we've confirmed her links to Wales' Raglan Castle, introduced her to new cousins, and revealed details about the tragic end to her great-grandfather's life. So far today, we've had an amazing collection of solved cases involving castles, cousins, and a curious king. But we still have one incredible final story to tell.
Now to a woman whose grandparents were caught up in a huge exodus of people. Trudy Brandt from Southampton wants to find out what connection they had to India during Partition in 1947.
I don't have a great understanding of my heritage. I've always known that I'm of mixed race, but I was only 6 months old when my mum and dad split up, and we lost touch with my dad, Leon Pushong. So I know that my grandparents, Eugene and Emerald Pushong, lived in Lahore, but I don't know where they both came from before that, who their ancestors were.
Welcome, Trudy.
Thank you very much.
Good. So, when you were growing up, what did you think about your own ethnicity?
I always knew that I was mixed race. Right. I was born in '67, so at that time there was still a bit of a stigma about it. People were racist.
Right.
I don't get it so much now, but when I was a girl, there was definitely, you know, some feeling from some people against it.
Were you accepted by Asian people as Asian, and were you accepted by white British people as white British?
I wasn't seen as being either.
And you asked to fill in your ethnicity?
Yeah.
How would you?
White British.
White British.
That's how much it's affected me, I guess, yeah.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your family?
This is Eugene and Emerald Pushong, my paternal grandparents, who lived in Lahore, which was part of India until Partition, and is now part of Pakistan.
So this was part of India that was ruled by the British Empire during the time that the British Empire existed.
Yes.
The Partition of India in August 1947 split the former colony, or British Raj, into two independent states, India and the Dominion of Pakistan. The British plan divided the country along religious lines, with Pakistan being created as a new Islamic state, while Hindus and Sikhs were to remain in India. But the hastily drawn borders were explosive and divisive. There was large-scale violence, destruction and murder as Partition ripped communities apart. It created one of the largest refugee crises of modern times, as an estimated 10 million people were displaced along the religious divide.
That's terrible.
And the British government stood back and let it effectively happen.
That's terrible. And it's really not that long ago.
It's not that long ago.
1947.
70 years ago. Your ancestors were in the midst of all of this that was taking place.
I can't imagine how on earth that would feel.
More than 1 million people died. More than 1 million. So we need to go forward a bit and talk more about your family.
Okay.
Now, Eugene, your grandfather, who we mentioned before, was the only doctor in the family. John, your 3 times great-grandfather, and his brother, Alexander, both worked as government clerks in the East India Company civil service.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
It was a very powerful company. It was one of those companies set up during the 1600s that began to dominate world trade.
Wow.
It was also one of those companies that spearheaded colonialism in the East India Company that your ancestors worked for.
Yeah.
Were part of that colonial, aggressive economics. And they only wanted people that they could trust.
Oh, and the perception
was that a certain class of person could be trusted. What we may call Anglo-Indian people, which isn't a very nice term, but it's a term that refers to people who have European ancestry, not just English, but European ancestry, but also are mixed with Asian ancestry.
Yeah.
This class of people, such as your ancestors, were trusted during British colonial rule. And they were trusted in the civil service. And that
based upon?
That would be based on religion or language or ethnicity or background.
Not because of skills or talent or qualifications.
There was a belief that the skills and talents were linked to the ethnicity of the religion.
That's not comfortable.
No. But that's the nature of that society. And it's your personal history. Let's go on forward a bit. We've discovered that your ancestor, Alexander Pushong, was married to a woman called Mary de Costa.
Yeah.
Now, we believe that Mary actually had a diverse heritage. Her last name is Portuguese.
Oh.
The Portuguese came to India, to the western port of Goa.
Yeah.
From the 15th century.
Yeah.
And they began trading from there. And they were trading in everything, including people. The children of those people, those Portuguese people of Portuguese descent, would inherit their Portuguese names, like da Costa. So if we go forward now to what happened in Partition, your ancestors, Dr. Eugene and Emerald, when the British left, the privileged class of people lost their positions effectively and had to decide which side they were going to stay with.
It's a case of survival, then.
If they were unable to decide, then they had to leave India.
Oh, so...
If they didn't fit.
Wow.
I want to show you this other document. It's a shipping record.
Yeah.
Who were leaving at the time of Partition.
Okay.
And it shows Dr. Eugene and Emerald sailed from Bombay to London.
That's why, then. That's why, because of Partition. So they had to leave everything. So you got to go. Where do you go?
Back to the mother. Britain's the mother. That's what they would have been told. They would have been
caused it all,
exactly, but they would be told that Britain is your mother country, and especially if you were Anglo-Indian.
Yeah.
Your grandparents would be told, look, come to Britain.
Oh. Oh, okay. So that was given to them as
that would be the
idea. A viable option.
And they would believe it. So they arrived in Southampton on the 5th of November, 1948. Their last permanent residence was in Pakistan. And at that point, Eugene was employed by the army. Eugene didn't spend long in this country. If we look at these shipping records, so for the 5th of February, 1949, so it's Eugene Pashong, your direct ancestor, who is now 37 years old, outward bound from Southampton to Buenos Aires in South America.
Wow. That's some journey that he's done in a very short space of time.
Almost all the way around the world.
So he left Emerald and Leon here? I mean...
Did he go alone? Eugene remarried a woman named Lucia Rosa.
So yet another terrible effect of Partition, then?
Yes.
Yeah, if there were any cracks in the marriage, that may well just have done it.
Yes. So, in a sense, we tried to sort of provide an analysis of you or your situation, your family.
Yeah.
All of that heritage is your heritage. All of it.
I'm a child of the world. It's pretty cool.
When you first mentioned your ethnicity, when you first filled in your application, can you tell us what you wrote on that regarding your own?
I've always written whenever there's been any choice of, what ethnicity, I've always put white British.
Yes. So, Trudy, what box are you going to tick now?
No box.
Trudy, I want to thank you for coming and sharing your experience and that of your remarkable ancestors.
Thank you very much. I can't tell you what it means to me. Today, I've found more about the character and the strength of my ancestors, not just names on a page.
You're leaving here with a stronger sense of where you come from, who you are.
Yes.
You are not to be boxed.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled to bits. I really am.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Welcome to Cape's Thorn Hall, a historic stately home in Macclesfield in Cheshire, where people from all over the UK have been flocking to have their questions answered. Crowds have arrived to meet our experts in the hope of solving their family mysteries.
I wanted to know about my father's side of the family because my maiden name is Trevina, which is very unusual.
I wanted to come today to meet actual experts who could guide me and point me in the right direction to carry on my research.
To help them uncover the answers to their questions are our team of specialists. Writer and historian Tessa Dunlop.
He's a bit of a chameleon, isn't he? He tells stories, he changes his name.
It's a fibber. Ancestry genealogist Brad Argent.
Off cease, not been caught.
I like that.
But first, historian and law lecturer Onyeka Nubia helps one woman who suspects she might have relatives in Australia through a convict who was transported down under.
I'm Sandra Cummings. I live in a little village called Brixworth in Northamptonshire. So this story began back in 1993. My father, Anthony Byfield, received a letter from Greg Byfield in New South Wales in Australia. The letter went into detail about the Byfield family and the fact that he was interested in us because we may be related. So the letter explained a little bit about his great-great-grandfather, Robert Byfield. So Greg knew that Robert lived in Shoreditch in London and was transported in 1834 to Sydney on a convict ship, but that's the only information he had about that relative. And the letter just caused ripples through the family, to be honest. We'd never heard anything like it. We started to then investigate the archives. It was very much my dad's quest. He was very interested in the whole project. But unfortunately, within 2 years of Greg contacting, my dad passed away. And that's when my mother and I took on the challenge. There was lots of Roberts in the family, which got me really excited that we could possibly be related in some way. My mother passed away in 2011, so it's a shame that we didn't get any further. It has been a huge quest, and it will be a legacy for my family, and I'm sure they're looking down now, hoping that they're willing us on to finish something that we started so many years ago.
Hello, and welcome, Sandra.
Thank you.
So, you want to find out about the Byfield family, or your family history. So this Greg Byfield claimed that his great-great-grandfather, Robert Byfield, was a convict from England who went to Sydney, Australia in 1834 on a convict ship.
That's right.
And believed that you, your family, were direct descendants of the same Byfield.
Yes.
How would you feel if this was true?
Oh, it'd be amazing.
So let's look at your family tree. Greg suggested in his letter that this Robert Byfield was convicted and sentenced to transportation in 1834. Now, Robert Benjamin Byfield, your 2 times great-grandfather, was born in 1857. Mm-hmm. So it couldn't possibly be him.
So is it the Robert from 1859?
Well, we're going to find out.
OK.
OK, let's have a look at this. So this is a marriage certificate from 1850 for Samuel Byfield and Sarah Willis. Samuel Byfield is listed as a cellarman, and his father, Robert Byfield, is a tailor. And what we have to try and work out is if this Robert Byfield, who's the tailor, could end up being the convict.
Yeah. That's a big jump down,
It's a big jump, isn't it?
Yeah. OK.
So, because Greg, your pen pal, has suggested that we look at Shoreditch, we began to look at records in Shoreditch to see if we could find a link to this Robert Byfield. This is another document that we have. If you look at the right-hand side...
Oh, yeah, so Robert.
The tailor, Robert Byfield.
Really?
Yes,
the
original
times?
one. Yeah. And this original Robert Byfield is married to Susanna Barlow in 1815.
Wow.
And they married in the parish of Shoreditch.
OK.
So we needed to find out if Robert Byfield, the patriarch...
Is the same?
Yes, if somehow he fell from grace.
It just seems so strange for a tailor to be shipped off to Australia. What could he have done?
Indeed. 19th century England, there was a lot of poverty.
Sure, yeah.
So we checked and we examined a very important resource. They're called the Old Bailey Online Records.
OK.
They contain lists of all the proceedings, court proceedings that took place in the Old Bailey during the 18th and the 19th century. Now, there were proceedings against a Robert Byfield.
Really? OK.
In 1834.
OK.
And this Robert Byfield, in 1834, was indicted for feloniously breaking and entering a dwelling in Shoreditch.
Right.
And he was accused of stealing diverse monies. But in those court proceedings, his occupation is listed as a...
Tailor?
As a cowman.
Oh, right. Not a tailor.
Not a tailor.
OK. So it's not the same Robert?
He doesn't match your patriarch.
Right, OK.
Your great ancestor.
I'm disappointed. We all so wanted there to be a connection.
Indeed.
Between the two.
But don't leave your seat yet. Okay. Don't leave your seat yet.
Onyeka has ruled out 2 possible options for Sandra's convict, but coming up, we'll see the results for the other links to Australia in her family tree.
Robert Byfield fell into poverty.
Right, OK.
Now, we'd all like to find a colourful character in our family past, even if they might be a bit of a rogue. Next up is Amy Jane McGarry Thickett from Northamptonshire, who thinks she might have a bit of a shady past and might be related to hoodlums and thieves.
You would use a while loop when you're using, like, conditional. My name's Amy. I live in Nottingham, but I'm originally from Gosport near Portsmouth. I teach computer science, and I've become very much a genealogy geek. I want to find out exactly who I am and where I come from, and more about my dad's side of the family, because we were estranged for a long time. I know that there's been a lot of toing and froing from Ireland, and I'd love to be connected to that. The Kennedys and the Smalls are my father's mother's families. Kennedys, from what I've seen, it seems like there was quite a bit of trouble. There are a lot of articles about Kennedys being in court for this and in court for that, involving, I think there was one stealing a horse or something. I'd like to think that they're more artful dodger than Peaky Blinders, but it's hard to tell with the little bits that I've got. I think the Smalls were a bit more respectful. I'm not a troublemaker, I'm not very daring, so I'm hoping that the Smalls are like me and that, you know, good and honest and hard-working sort of people. That'd be amazing. It would just make me feel, I don't know, a bit more whole and a bit more content in who I am as a person.
Amy, welcome.
Thank you.
So you're here today to find out about potentially some troublemakers in the family.
Yeah, it's on my dad's mum's side of the family, so my paternal grandmother. I want to find out which of the family, sides of the family, the Kennedys or the Smalls, were the troublemakers, because I found articles that kind of linked to both.
So let's just have a look at your family tree. So we're starting with you. And so the persons of interest to us are Francis J. Kennedy, right, father of Francis J. Kennedy, and Hugh Small, right? He's the father of Elizabeth Ann Small. So let's dive into the records and see what we get. We wanted to look at the Kennedy line first. Now, this is for Francis J. Kennedy Jr. This is his birth record.
I've never seen this before.
Here in this document, you can see Francis Joseph, right? It's the 10th of April in 1911. His father is Francis Joseph Kennedy. And then we have Mary Ann Kennedy, nee McCafferty. And this is where they're popping up in the traditional hatch, match and dispatch records. But the thing is, they don't seem to surface anywhere else. Our sort of feelings were, whilst the Kennedys might not have been squeaky clean, they were well behaved enough to stay out of the documents.
Local news.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to turn our attention somewhere else. And the other family is the Small family. Hugh Thomas Small. And they're in Belturbet in Ireland. So we started having a look at who were these people, what was going on. And we found this record. This is the Court of Petty Sessions. Apparently, what he got up to was maliciously killing the neighbour's cat. Now, it's an accusation. I don't believe it was proved.
Well, no witnesses.
You should familiarise yourself with these records because they're going to come in handy when you're looking at the Smalls.
Oh, good.
Because they're something of a recurring theme. Now, let's put Hugh in some context. There's a wonderful photograph of him. And there he is there. And that is Hugh Thomas Small. He does look like a bit of a grumpy.
The only thing that I do know from my nan's time in Ireland was that she hated it and she hated being under his roof. That's all I know, so that makes sense when you see that picture.
He doesn't look happy, does he? That appearance in the records, it is just the beginning. So these are quite serious assault charges, right? John Patrick tells the Court of Petty Sessions that Hugh Thomas Small assaulted and hurt him. And because of that, he had to pay 3 shillings and 6pence. Or the alternative was to be sent to jail for a week. I kind of, again, painting this picture of a man who's not happy to be around others.
No. I imagine that he wasn't very nice. From what I know, what I saw of my gran, she didn't like being around people that much either. She was a very solitary person.
But you're getting some sense, I think, of why and the environment that she grew up in. It's always interesting when you find an ancestor who's, you know, been a bit of a villain, but living through it must have been a very different thing. But it doesn't end at this record. Now, this is 1907, and this is for unlawfully abusing, using offensive language, and breaching peace against a James Bryceland. But his brother, John Small, was also involved in this. So he managed to loop someone else in to this. This wasn't the final record, and this is actually a prison record. This is for selling intoxicating liquor in an unlicensed home. There's a very vivid description of him in this document. He's 37 years old at this time. He's 5 foot 8.5 inches tall, brown hair, blue eyes. His occupation at this time is actually stated as a publican and farmer, but it also says he's down for contempt of court and bankruptcy, right, with an unlimited stay in jail. So he seems to be a man who's plying multiple trades.
It's shocking to see that it wasn't the side I thought, and really the troublemakers were the Smalls, and maybe that's why there was so much issue about my nan talking about her childhood, because of there's someone there clearly with a temper. It's interesting and it's quite, I don't know, it's a lot to consider and take in a way.
How do you think Sheila would feel about you finding this stuff out?
I don't think she'd be overly happy about it. But I think if I'd known it soon, it would have made it easier to talk and to be open and to have an actual relationship with me, my dad and everything.
Yeah, you feel you understand her a little better now?
Yeah, definitely.
But we're not finished with him yet.
Right.
The last entry that we can find is the Court of Petty Sessions again, 1918. And this time, in keeping with his entrepreneurial spirit, he's accused of unlawfully buying 5 pig carcasses in somewhere other than a lawfully constituted pork market. You wanted to find the troublemaker?
Well, yeah, he was there all along.
Yeah. And we found him.
Lovely. Thank you. It's
Amy,
really interesting.
Thank you so much for coming along.
Thank you. Yeah, clearly, amazing stock. Luckily, I think it's far enough away to not to be an effect on my character. I don't think I'm going to have any kids accusing me of killing their cats or anything back at work. I definitely think I want to take a trip over to Ireland sometime and see Belturbet and all of that area and just not mention that I'm related to any Smalls that are there.
Brad has given Amy a clearer picture of her ancestors and the events which shaped the family. Earlier, we met Sandra Cummings, who's desperate to find out if she and her family are linked to an English convict, Robert Byfield, who was sent to Australia. Onyeka has ruled out some of her ancestors.
This Robert Byfield doesn't match your patriarch.
Right, OK.
Your great ancestor.
But now he believes he might have the answer.
But we began to research poor law records.
OK.
In the 1800s, there was a fear that the masses, the poor masses, would take over society. So they felt that the poor had to be controlled.
Yes.
Part of the method of control was to make laws and provide relief for the poor, but also to make records of them.
OK.
To record who they were, to record their families. Your patriarch, the tailor, Robert Byfield, fell into poverty.
Right, OK.
This is a record from the poor law books. This is the tailor, Robert Byfield, and his wife. Now, this document is very important because it shows that Robert Byfield had children. This is a record that says Robert Byfield, his wife, Susanna, and their 4 children, namely Robert.
So he had a Robert as well? Of 16? Is that the Robert? No.
So there is another Robert in your family. This poor law record is from 1832.
Right, and he's 16?
Yes. So in 1834, he would be about 19 years old.
Wow.
So this Robert Byfield is the same
Really?
Byfield that Greg Byfield wrote to you about.
That's amazing. Sorry. That's really wonderful.
So your father was absolutely correct. His instincts were absolutely correct. And your trust in your father's judgment
Yes.
was absolutely correct. Let's take a look at your extended family tree. If we start from the top, Robert Byfield married Susanna Barlow. Robert Byfield was the patriarch of your family in 1815. Their first son was Robert Byfield.
Wow.
The one that was sent to Australia as a convict. His brother was your direct ancestor, Samuel Byfield.
And Greg's?
And Greg is a direct descendant of Robert Byfield Jr.
Wow. So all this time, that first letter, and it was all true.
So Robert Byfield Jr. is your 3 times great grand uncle. English law had split your family apart.
Absolutely.
And separated your family by oceans and thousands of miles. Your father and your mother attempted to bring your family together, but they weren't able to do so in their lifetime. So now you are the one who has brought your family together.
Yes.
After all of these years, after hundreds of years.
And close that loop.
And close that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I wish they were here now, Mum and Dad, to see it. Thank you.
Good news, Sandra.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, yeah. I'm going to contact Greg and tell him it's all true and hopefully reconnect with that family in Australia.
And you've managed to complete the journey that your mum and dad started.
Absolutely.
It must be so important.
Yes. Both my father and my mother would be amazed, yeah. It just connects you all together. It's amazing.
I'm really pleased,
Yeah,
really pleased, Sandra. Thank you so much for bringing your story to us today.
Thank you for everybody. I couldn't have done it without you. It's brilliant. Thank you.
Our research has confirmed that the convict Robert Byfield is Sandra's 3 times great-granduncle, which has opened up the possibility of a whole new branch of relatives in Australia to uncover. Coming up, Brad helps a man learn the truth about his mother's family.
She was very, very careful not to mention anything.
Well, let's see if we can unpick some of that.
Next up, Cynthia Richards from Cheshire. She wants to solve a mystery in her husband's family involving a runaway, false records, and an exotic twist.
My name is Cynthia Richards, and I'm here to find out about Henry Richards, my husband Frank's grandfather. When I started looking into Henry, I didn't know anything about him at all, apart from the fact that he said he was born on a ship. He was 16 when he got to England. It was on the 1891 census. And he was living in a cellar with 6 other people that, looking at the census, were complete strangers. The names were different, and working on the docks. Frank, my husband, is 80 next year. He's not very good health-wise, and at Christmas he nearly died. So I would love for him to know who his family are. And I think at this stage in his life, it would be very special for him.
Cynthia, thank you for coming here today. Thank you. I gather you're on a mission to find out more about one man who's related to the 2 gentlemen sat behind you.
That's right, he's a grandfather.
Who are they?
Frank in the middle, my husband.
Hello, Frank.
54 years.
Well done.
And Joe, my brother-in-law, Frank's brother.
So, let's now focus on this gentleman, Henry Richards. The story is he was born on a ship.
We didn't know where he was from, what nationality he was at all. This was the story I was told. So that sort of sparked my interest of finding out.
And you've got now to the point where you've ascertained he's probably from America.
Mm-hmm. That was on the census. It said he was born in the US of America. That was the first time that we found out.
But was certainly in England by the age of 15, 16?
16, yeah.
And your belief is he came alone?
Yes.
OK, well, let's bear in mind all that. We have found quite a lot on this individual, Henry Richards. It's taken us down a path that we didn't expect, and one we believe will probably surprise you.
Good.
Let's just have a look at Henry Richards, Frank and Joe's grandfather's immediate family tree. He married Martha.
That's correct.
And boy, weren't they busy. 8 children.
Yeah.
And you'll see one name, Clarice. It's quite an unusual name.
Clarice, yeah.
For 1900 in England. I would suggest maybe. One of the earliest documents that was available from the get-go for Henry Richards was his marriage certificate.
That's right.
In 1896. And just one thing that stood out, because I pointed out the name Clarice, was another slightly fancy name, or exotic for that time, Alexandra. His middle name was Henry Alexander Richards. Yeah. And you're right, there's another, you see, a Samuel Ferdinand.
Yeah.
So quite fancy names.
I don't know where they came from, yeah.
When you're on a genealogy hunt, sometimes the documentation can be flaky or let you down or not add up in the way you expect it to.
Yeah.
And that's when you have to sort of read between the lines and pick on any clue that you can, which is why I'm flagging up these names. Now, I'm going to reintroduce you to the document that you've already mentioned, that census in 1891. This is the earliest evidence we have of Henry Richards, the wanderer, who has arrived in England by the age of 16. And here we have him. He's 16, you can see the 16. He's a docks labourer, as you said, and if you stroll further along, he's American.
That's right.
Consistently, in all documentation that we had available for Henry Richards, he said that his birth date was 1875. But we could never find a Henry Richards born in 1875. In a census, you bunch all the people who are living together at any one time. Here he is. Now, if you track up, in that same house, there's a Clarice. Do you remember that Henry's daughter he would later call Clarice? This isn't his daughter. He's only 16 years old. You can see she's the other person on this census from America. So she's 19 from America.
So she's come from America.
Which suggests a name similarity, an age similarity, living in the same house, and both from America. Could be siblings. If so, we need to find her, and that will lead us to her parents, which may then lead us to Henry and his birth certificate. I'm now going to take you to America. This is her birth certificate. You can see there a Jean or a Jean Clarice Richard. She's born in New York. You'll notice it's Richard she's listed under. She's the second child of her mother. And let's just have a look at the parentage. Her mother, Anne Elizabeth Richard née Smith, is English. What I'm telling you here, Cynthia, because it's quite complicated, is Clarice Richard is the sister of Henry Richards. OK? They're living in the same house in Liverpool in 1891. They're both from America. This girl is born 3 years before her brother Henry, and here we have her parentage. She's got an English mother, which may explain why they end up back in England, going against the grain of immigration at the time. But what's really interesting is the father, none other than a Ferdinand Francois Rouchard. Their grandfather had a father who was French, born in France.
Why didn't he say that? Why didn't he say, come up with the story he came out with?
Well, I'm afraid that's what we'll probably never know. And you're a Frank, which is probably a Francis, but could be a Francois.
It is Francis,
It's the Anglicanized version.
I'll never get over this with him now. He's French.
And now, because we know he's born in 1875, and we know that we can't find a Henry Richards in any birth registry in New York at that time, but using the parents of Clarice, Anne and Ferdinand, knowing them and their names, meant that we could finally uncover the birth certificate for Henry Richards. I talked about names changing and how names were anglicised, and it seems evident that that is what Henry Richards went in for, because here he is, born to Anne and Ferdinand in 1875, consistent with what he's always said about his birth date, 1875, in New York, same place as his sister was born. But look at his name, Julien Alexis Rouchard, Richard. So later it becomes Richards. Why Julien becomes Henry, I don't know.
No. I have no idea at all. I'm flabbergasted.
He's a bit of a chameleon, isn't he? He tells stories, he changes his names.
Pepper. All these years now to be married to a Scouser. I just can't believe it, I really can't.
We uncovered 2 more younger siblings, or younger than Clarice.
There's 4 children there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. He's one of the 4th. In fact, we think in total there were 5.
Were there?
We were able to name 4. And here on the family tree are the names that we were able to ascertain. We have Henry Richards. We have a brother called William Richard, born between Clarice and Henry. And there was also a Samuel Richard. What's interesting here is if you look at Samuel Richard's dates, 1877 to 1889.
Wasn't very old, was he?
The death index in Liverpool confirms that this youngest child of Ferdinand and Anne died aged 12.
In Liverpool?
Yes.
So they all came to Liverpool then?
All those children came to Liverpool. And that name, of course, crops up again because Henry Richards, who loses his brother, what does he call his youngest son?
Samuel.
And Samuel Ferdinand is their father.
Yeah.
Of course, what's interesting about all of this is why take at least 4 children across the Atlantic against the economic grain of the time to England?
No idea.
Well, one clue, of course, is that Anne was English.
Yeah.
But why did she come back?
Yeah.
Well, let's now go back to that census of 1891.
Yeah.
And we've got our Henry Richards, who is S for son. Who's the person named above him?
Anne. Is that his mother?
And his mother was Anne Elizabeth.
Mm.
And if you look above her, Herbert Grosvenor, she's married a Herbert Grosvenor.
So her husband had died?
Either died, divorced, ditched. We couldn't find that out.
Right.
But she's begun again in England.
Right.
So this exuberant, exciting grandfather of Frank and Joe, Henry Richards, who apparently came over in a boat, and then you discovered, actually, no, he was born in America. He came over when he was 15 or 16. Some of that is true. But what's interesting is, like so many Americans, his family were immigrants to America. Half French, half English.
I can't believe it, I really can't. It's really amazing, that, isn't it?
What bit surprises you?
Well, the fact that, why didn't he tell him his parent, one parent was French? Why tell the story that he was born on a ship and he didn't know where he was from?
But maybe if something happened to force Anne to leave America, that was something that Henry Richards wanted to dump. And possibly that's why the French story was never uncovered. It's been great fun, this. It's been quite intricate, but really exciting genealogy. And thank you, Cynthia, for bringing this amazing story.
Thank you, and au revoir. I just think it's wonderful, because it's like a whole new family now to find out about, isn't it? And our granddaughter loves snails. And I've always thought, well, obviously something inside is telling us to like them, isn't it?
We've helped Cynthia and Frank solve the mystery of his grandfather's birthplace, and also uncovered that Henry was born to English and French parents.
We all want to find an exciting story in our family. Up next, a mystery involving surprise DNA results, British children being shipped abroad, and a mother with a secret past.
He lived in a wood far, far away. He lived with
his mummy and daddy.
And
His grandpa.
I'm John Niblett. I have 3 children, and I'm from Walsall in the West Midlands. What's missing, basically, is my mother's family history.
Cheese and ketchup.
My mother's name is Monica Mary Blackwood, born 1913 at a location unknown. I was 19 when she passed away. Obviously, I have memories of her as a childhood, but that all changed 6 to 9 months ago when I decided to take a DNA test. After taking the DNA test, I received a message from Canada from a Mr. Jim Smith, who said that we were related by DNA, first and second cousins. We're nothing to do with Canada. I eventually got in touch with Jim Smith's daughter, Nikki, and they uncovered a soldier's Bible, which her grandfather had carried as a serving soldier with the Canadian First Army. In the back leaf of that Bible, my mother's name, Mary, is mentioned. I believe that Mary, here, mentioned here, with a birthday the same as my mother, November the 5th, is Monica Mary, Mary being her middle name. And Nikki said they'd found a photograph of me sent in 1947 by my mother to James. That convinced me that Monica Mary, the mention in the Bible, is my mother, and that James Smith is my uncle. I want to find out my mother's family history. What happened to her family? She never chose to tell me, and I'd just love to find out.
So welcome, John.
Hi.
When you first took your DNA test, right, and you got that result back, that first cousin match, that must have been something of a shock, because you thought your mother was an only child. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
So if we look at this family tree, there's you, there's your mum, Monica Mary. So as we move along this tree, you can see your newly discovered uncle, James, an aunt for you, Julia, and James's children, Jim and Walter.
Yes.
And grandparents.
Yes.
Now, you were told by this first cousin about Amy Harwood, which is your grandmother.
Correct.
So what's interesting here is Monica's maiden name, your mum's maiden name, is Blackwood. But when we look at possible parents, we have a Smith and a Harwood.
Yes.
We tried really hard to find information about Monica Blackwood. And just like you, we can't. We don't know where the Blackwood surname comes from.
She was very, very careful not to mention anything. She never did. I had an opinion that she might well have been adopted prior to 1926, when the Adoption Act was passed.
Well, let's see if we can unpick some of that. The DNA evidence is clear. There's a connection between you and your uncle. That family and understanding that family is the key to understanding your mother. It's highly likely she was a Smith first, before she was a Blackwood. That's what we have to start looking for. We have a little bit of a look at your grandmother. So we began looking for Amy Harwood. We struggled. We couldn't find anything about Amy Harwood. It was almost as if she didn't exist. The time period we were looking for, the records just didn't exist for her. So we thought we'd have a look for an Amy Smith. And what we're able to find is, this is a clip from a newspaper that talks a little bit about Amy, right? And it gives us a little bit more insight into who this person was. Appearing before the court in a most filthy condition, 4 gypsies named Mary Smith, 65, and her daughters Amy Smith, Edith Smith, and Pheasant Smith, all of no fixed abode, were charged with sleeping out in Jobs Lane. We can't be 100% certain, but we're almost at that point, and we think that's your Amy Smith, that's your grandmother, and therefore your great-grandmother and your great-aunts. We believe they were probably Romany gypsies. When we look further into Amy, we find that she had at least one known alias. We're talking about people who live outside of the normal systems.
Yeah.
This is why we can't find a birth record, because there probably isn't one that exists. And then we found this record. So this is your grandmother, right? This record is from the Police Gazette in 1918 of the conviction of Amy. She was imprisoned for neglecting her children. And they found 3 children living in appalling conditions. Amy has a bit of a record. She has a bit of a history for larceny, deceit, those kind of things, fortune-telling. Her husband, we believe, died during the war.
Yes.
Right? So your grandfather's dead. Amy's probably struggling, right? She has 3 young children. How do you cope when you have these children and the main breadwinner dies and you're left to fend for them? The 3 children were put into care, right? Mary, James, Julia. And we know that your uncle, James, he was part of the child migration scheme. This was something that the government carried on, and it took orphan children, poor children, children who might have been in institutions, and spread them around the world to places where they were maybe put up for adoption. About 80,000 people over a particular period, I think up to 1925. We don't think the Mary that was taken was your mum. We actually think she had 4 children. We found this notice from the Leamington Spa Courier in 1916. And this refers to Amy being arrested. And you can see there that she's accompanied by a little girl. We think that little girl is your mother, Monica, making her the youngest, and that Mary was actually an older sister, which is why there's always been this question mark around when she was born. Because the Mary that you've been looking at was born around 1900, somewhere between 1900 and 1905. I don't think she ever went into care.
But still leaves the question, where did Blackwood come from? Unless Blackwood was her father.
So this is what we think happened. And again, we have to build a story based on little bits of information. We think Mary, the firstborn, James and Julia, went into care. We think Monica was probably put up for private adoption long before the Act in 26. And so we think she was adopted into a family possibly named Blackwood. We don't really know. In 4 years' time, in 2022, the 1921 census will come out. She's highly likely to be in that census, living with her adopted family. So, patience, John, patience. And you'll get the next key you need to unlock more of your mother's story. But if we have a look at your tree now, I mean, your family's just got a lot bigger. So we were able to build on the story of Amy, your grandmother, found this connection to the Romanis. It helped some things fall into place. And we built back to this great-grandmother. This is a legacy now that you can pass down. They're connected to Romani gypsies. That's pretty cool. John, thank you so much for coming. It's been a real joy, mate. Thank you for sharing a story.
Thank you. Well, I never imagined I'd got Romani blood in me. I perhaps now understand my mother why she was so reticent about giving me information, or she didn't. And I understand that now. I feel sorry for her. But I hope, well, yeah, I am sure that, I think she had a decent life, whoever adopted her. You know, I think she was all right.
This is almost like you bringing back the memories of your mother that you didn't really have, and that's yeah, it's a big thing for you.
I never thought it'd happen. When you look at the family tree, there's a blank, but there's not a blank anymore. I got a sense of belonging.
You've got a big family to go and look for
I've got
now.
a big family.
John, enjoy it. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you very much.
It's been an emotional day for John, who's just learnt about his mother's Romani heritage and her potential adoption. The 1921 census becomes open to the public after 100 years due to privacy laws, and Brad believes that John will then learn more about his mother's adopted family.
Welcome to Cape Thorne Hall, a historic stately home in Macclesfield in Cheshire, where people from all over the UK have been flocking to have their questions answered.
We're here to reunite families with their treasure, with their loved ones, and with the truth behind the rumours that have been passed down through generations.
I wanted to try and find the brother of my great-grandfather who took his side of the family, the Trevena family, to America.
So I thought coming along today may give me a few more clues as how to find out that extra bit of information that I need.
Among the tasks for our experts, writer and historian Tessa Dunlop is helping one man find the owners of an honourable wartime collection.
You're very keen, aren't you, to find a home for these medals?
Yes.
Historian and law lecturer Onyeka Nubia has some tips for tracing a band of brothers.
We'd like you to look at the electoral registers list and the absent voters list.
But solving our first family mystery is Ancestry genealogist Brad Argent. David Bunce from Cheshire wants to finally dispel a family rumour about his great-grandmother and a romantic link to Italy.
I believe that my great-grandmother was Italian, and she eloped with my great-grandfather when she was 17. Io mi chiamo David. My name is David Bunce. I am married to Rachel, have 2 children, and I live in Warrington. The nostra camicia, it is my shirt. Our shirt. I joined the army at 16 and I spent 6 years in the parachute regiment. I then left, joined Greater Manchester Police, of which I've now retired from. I first heard the story that my great-grandmother, Clara Miranda, had come to this country as an Italian immigrant from one of my elder sisters. She described to me that Clara was a young Italian servant girl working in the shop stroke house of a chemist, John Henry Brind, and they ended up eloping and set up a new family together. There hadn't been much talked about because Elsie Marguerite, who was the daughter of Clara and John Henry Brind, was actually born illegitimately, and it was just this story that was floating around the family. If it's not right that my great-grandmother was Italian, that's fine, I can live with that, and I'll be pleased and happy that we've got a bit further on in this story. But it's a feeling, and my gut feeling is it's right.
David, welcome. So this photograph here is of your great-grandmother, Clara, and your grandmother, Elsie Margaret Brind.
Yes? Yeah.
Yeah, and Henry John / John Henry Brind. And he is your great-grandfather.
Yes.
We'll focus mostly on Clara and see if we can get to the bottom of this Italian story of yours.
I want to deal with the uncertainty and know one way or another.
So here we have the marriage record. It says Henry John in this record. So we have a piece of evidence that says it's Henry John and not John Henry. It gives his age as 38 and he's a bachelor. And his rank or profession is general labourer at railway works. Now, there was a family story about him being a chemist.
Yes.
Don't know that the railways employed many chemists.
No.
And then we have Clara Miranda Gray, and she's a widow, which tells us she's probably been married before. We get father's name, Charles Elbro. That gives us a maiden name. So the next step to take is to look for a marriage record between a Clara Miranda Elbra and somebody called Gray. And here we find one. Here, in 1892, there's a John Gray marrying a Clara Miranda Elbra. Let's see how much more of that story we can tell. John and Clara had, I don't know if you can count them there, 11 children during the time that they were married.
Yeah. That's a lot of kids.
That is a lot of children. And the spacing between most of them is reasonably regular.
Yeah.
This is your family.
Yeah.
These are kind of like your half-great aunts and uncles.
That's a lot of birthday cards. A lot of birthday cards. It's fair to say the marriage was consummated.
A number of times.
Yeah. That's news. That's news to all of us.
We wanted to have a look at the 1911 census. You can see here, by 1911, you have John Gray, Clara Gray. Some of their children still with them. And if you look at the bottom record... John Brind. It says nephew.
Nephew.
So this gives us a snapshot of John and Clara Gray in 1911. And it shows us how Clara met Henry John Brind. I want to come back to this marriage record of Henry John Brind and Clara Miranda Gray. It's the 17th of July, 1923. They are both living at 23 Ermine Street in Swindon. John Gray, Clara's first husband, had died about 7 weeks before they got married. But what's your connection to the family?
The connection's through my mother. who is the daughter of Elsie Marguerite, who subsequently is the daughter of Henry John Brind and Clara Miranda Gray, as she was, then Brind.
So now we need to have a look at Elsie Margaret Brind's birth record, just again to try and get some things into context. It doesn't mention the name of the father, but she does have the Brind surname.
Yes.
And if you look at the date, it's 1918. Now remember, Clara and Henry John Brind didn't get married until 1923. At this time, it's 1918. Clara was married to John Gray. Your grandmother was born to a woman who was married,
but just not to the father.
Not to the father. Yeah. It's like, I'm struggling to get my head around that idea. So we have to kind of think, okay, what was going on? I imagine at some point the relationship between John Gray and Clara disintegrated. You know, we're talking about a period in history where if they decided that they didn't want to be together anymore, they couldn't get a divorce. So perhaps they still even lived as husband and wife, but lived separate lives.
That makes sense, it's logical.
But you had one question. We think she's Italian, where's it come from? Let's see if we can find evidence for her elsewhere in the records before she was an adult. This is the census record for 1881, and you can see Clara. And can you see where it says she was born?
Furnham.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
Furnham in Berkshire is where she's born. So that's not part of Italy I'm familiar with.
No.
But just to be sure, to be absolutely certain, we wanted to have a look at your DNA. The average Brit is about 40% British. You are 76% British. And you have no Italian DNA, none. But there's one more thing I really want to share with you. We took your DNA and we connected with a second cousin of yours, who very, very kindly sent us a photo of Clara. Now, I don't think you've seen this photo before.
Wow.
She's clearly a very beautiful woman. You can see she has dark features, which would have lended credence to the notion that she was Southern European.
Wow.
That's your great-grandmother.
Yeah. Brilliant. That's lovely. What a woman. I've got a second cousin who never existed up to now.
Yeah.
Who's got some fantastic photographs.
But I kind of feel you're going to walk out of here with a much bigger family.
Yes. Much bigger family.
David, thank you very much.
No, it's OK. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So you're not Italian?
No, would appear not.
Disappointed?
Yes, but not.
And all those kids?
Yeah, all those cousins. That's a lot of birthday cards. So, yeah, that's a lot of catching up.
Welcome to your new family.
Yeah. Well, they say Italians have big families, don't they?
So have you enjoyed today?
Yes, a lot of food for thought. It solved, definitely, definitively, an age-old family story and just opened up a whole new wormhole of other possibilities.
So you're glad you came?
Oh, yeah, massively.
Oh, I'm pleased. I'm pleased, because I didn't want you to go away disappointed. Thank you so much for coming. And arrivederci.
All right, love.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Or whatever it is, yeah.
So David now knows he's not Italian. But we've more than made up for it by introducing him to a whole new branch of the family tree. During the Great War, towns and streets of young men were encouraged to join up together in so-called pals battalions. Up next with a mystery involving love, loyalty and lives lost for king and country is Keith Atwood.
After my aunt died, I discovered some memorabilia which uncovered a love story from World War I. My name is Keith Atwood. I was born 76 years ago in Ladywood, Birmingham. Married to Margaret for 53 years. 2006, Margaret and I had occasion to go down to London because my Auntie Violet had died, my Auntie Vi. And we had the job of sorting the house out. And while we were going through the things, I came across this small wooden cigar box. In the cigar box was a couple of sets of medals, which I'd never seen before, knew nothing about. Apparently, my auntie's mother, Rose Wicks, had been married twice. Her first husband was a William Knight, and one set of medals and this big disc were in his name. There's also another set of medals for her second husband, a guy called George Beach, who was my Auntie Vi's father. It reminded me of a story that Auntie Vi had told me one time. William Knight married Rose Wicks in 1909, and they had a daughter 1910, and I've not been able to find anything at all else about her. It appears that William Knight, who must have been friends with George Beach, actually stated if anything happened to him during the First World War, would he look after Rose? William Knight died of wounds in June 1917. And George Beach must have kept that promise because he'd married Rose in 1919, 2 years after. And they had a daughter, and they named her Violet, and she was my Auntie Vi. Because Auntie Vi never had any children, and I couldn't find anything about Rose from the first marriage, there's nobody really I can find to actually give these medals to or pass them on to. So I'm hoping that this programme will resolve that problem.
Keith, thank you so much for joining us today and bringing us a wonderful story accessed through your late Aunt Vi, who was an aunt through marriage, not a blood relative of yours. No. And the couple didn't have any children.
No.
But after her death, you find this extraordinary World War I legacy attached to both her father and her mother's first husband.
Correct.
So a William and a George.
Yep.
You mentioned your aunt said they were both pals before war broke out.
I believe so, yeah. You know, it was just something said in passing that apparently William had said to George, if anything happens to me, look after Rose. And then we discovered that he married Rose 2 years after William died.
So here we can see your blood uncle John, brother of your mother Alice, married to Violet, no children down their line. She was the only daughter of a George Beach, who was the second husband of Rose. Rose originally married to a William Knight, and you mentioned there the birth of their daughter, Rose, about whom you don't know. Let's pick up on William's story, if we may. I know in that wonderful old cigar box you've got his medals.
As you say, a war medal and a victory medal. That was William's medals.
So that was the British War Medal, which anyone who fought in the British Army got, and so too the Victory. So we've got there for William your British and your Victory medals, the two of them, which means he didn't sign up before 1916, because the Star Medal was awarded to those who signed up as volunteers in 1914 and 1915.
But what surprised me was this article here. This is what is known as a dead man's penny.
Mm-hmm. These were indeed the dead man's pennies, or widow's pennies, as they were known, because so often, tragically, the widow was the recipient. These widow's pennies were given out with a scroll, and we've taken a picture of that scroll so everyone can see it. He whom this scroll commemorates was numbered among those who, at the call of king and country, left all that was dear to them, endured hardness, faced danger, and finally passed out of the sight of men by the path of duty and self-sacrifice, giving up their own lives that others might live in freedom. Let those who come after see to it that his name be not forgotten. Well, you're doing a good job of that today, Keith.
It's true. I find it very emotional.
Certainly not forgetting William's name.
It's not just him. everybody that's died in any of the wars.
We know that he died while assigned to the Royal Irish Rifles on the 6th of June 1917, and he died during the Battle of Messines.
All right.
Now we'll move to George, because, of course, there were two men in this story, weren't there, during the war?
In this story, yeah.
Yeah. And he's the recipient of all three medals, the hat-trick, if you like, the Star, the British, and the Victory medals. And there was a nickname for them. They were called Pip, Squeak, and Wilfred. Have you heard of Pip, Squeak, and Wilfred?
No, I haven't.
Ah, well, it's after a cartoon strip character. Yeah. And they were a dog, a penguin, and a rabbit.
Oh.
But a real kind of survivors three. To have the Star as well meant you'd gone through from the beginning of the war. Mm. So no mean feat for George. And then he returns to civilian life. In late 1919, he marries, of course, his friend's widow, Rose. So quite a sweet little love story, a happy ending. You're very keen, aren't you, to find a home for these medals?
Yes.
Explain why that's so important to you, Keith.
I discovered that William and Rose had a daughter, also named Rose, but my Auntie Vi never spoke of her at all and knew nothing about her.
You're quite right, they did have a daughter. I'm going to show you now something that is sad.
Oh, dear.
I'm afraid, Keith. This is a death certificate from 1911, June 1911, when Rose Louise Knight succumbs to bronchial pneumonia. So I'm afraid she doesn't live to see her second birthday.
18 months old as well. Yeah. Sad.
And according to all the records, Rose and George didn't have any other children. It was only Violet. She was an only child.
Yeah.
We came, therefore, across what's sort of more commonly known as a family history roadblock. We thought, well, we'll see if George had any brothers or sisters. And that would take you to nieces and nephews and grandnieces and nephews and extend that tree out a bit. So that's exactly what we did. Here is the birth certificate for George. The relevance of this birth certificate is it gives us a name for both his father, Thomas, and his mother, Annie. And once you have names for the parents, you can find the names for the other children. So here we have the family tree. We know that George, from his birth certificate, had parents Thomas and Annie. Thomas and Annie had more than one child. Agnes was a daughter, an older sister to George. She marries Thomas Cates. Thomas and Agnes have a couple of children at least, one of whom is William. William marries Matilda Mobbs in 1930, and they go on to have not one, but 4 children. We found all 4. OK? Here is a merry picture of the gang. And I have here a message. They were unable to make it today, but they have written you a note. Dear Keith, my name is Albert Cates, and I'm writing on behalf of my sisters Eileen, Sylvia, Christine, and I. We were really surprised and delighted to hear of your search. Our grandmother was Agnes Beach, who we have been informed was sister of George Beach. I recall many, many years ago visiting George's wife. We would love very much to meet you sometime in the near future and talk about our connection, hear all about George, and tell you about our family, and of course, see these wonderful medals. Thank you for caring for them and searching for our family.
I don't know what to say, apart from thank you. You're wonderful. Yeah.
I think you'll have a lot to talk about. They were absolutely delighted when we contacted them. I look forward to hearing how you get on.
Thank you.
I think your Aunt Violet would be thrilled, wouldn't she?
She would.
Really thrilled.
She would.
Well done, you, Keith.
Thank you.
Keith, Margaret, what a result. You must be thrilled.
Oh, very thrilled. I really felt for him because it means such a lot to him about the family.
I wanted to get these medals back to blood relatives of the family.
And it clearly means an enormous amount to George's family too, doesn't it? You could see by their faces.
Oh, yeah. means a lot. And I'm looking forward to meeting them, you know.
Well, they look like great fun, don't they? So I'd imagine you'd be heading down to Essex quite soon, yeah?
Don't think I could afford to get a round of drinks in, though.
I'm really glad we managed to do this because we've managed to reunite such precious things with the family to which they belong.
Definitely. I'm so pleased that, you know, the team have managed to track it down. It's beyond words, really. All I can say is thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A very happy ending for Keith. Now Tessa has found George Beach's blood relatives, Keith can reunite them with their ancestors' medals. Next, a search to discover why a great-great-grandfather kept changing his name.
My name's Christine Johnson. I became a great-grandmother 2.5 years ago. They just make me happy, and it's lovely. I'm going to cry. I've got some unanswered questions and brick walls that I've come across. James Gorham / Luckhurst was my great-great-grandfather and was born around 1825. He became a plasterer by trade. He got married in the name of Luckhurst. He married a lady called Anne Taylor, and they had, I think, about 10 children. And when, in about 1850, he turned up in the East End of London, his name changed on the censuses to Gorham. And I'd love to know why he chose the name Gorham. What is it that he was hiding? I'm just intrigued, really intrigued with this one, because I think there is a story to tell, and I have not got to the bottom of it. I've got only one main thing, actually, in my head about it, and I think he was a bit of a criminal. And I'm really hoping, I know it sounds awful, but for my tree purposes, that it was something really bad, and he got away with it. Hopefully.
Chris, welcome.
Thank you.
This James Gorham Luckhurst, quite a man of mystery.
He certainly is, yeah.
Let's look at what the family tree looks like.
Yep.
So this is the Gorham line. There's you and your mum, and then we step back to your grandfather, Ernest.
Yep.
Your great-grandfather, Frederick.
Yep.
And then our man of mystery, James Gorham. Or is it Luckhurst? Now, we know he was a plasterer.
Yeah.
And that's important. When you're struggling in records to find people, occupations can be a wonderful way to anchor someone. This gives us somewhere to go. He was born before civil registration.
Yeah.
Civil registration was 1837.
Yeah.
Prior to that, you had the Parish Record Act of 1758, which meant baptisms needed to be recorded by every parish. This is the parish record in Kent, 1827, and you can see it there, James. And it's Luckhurst, which is just Luckhurst.
Yeah.
There's no father recorded. So his mother is Mary Ann Luckhurst. She's a single woman.
That was the name he was born into, then?
That was the name. When he came into the world, that's the name he was given. And we have it in his baptism record. We know why he used Luckhurst. In the marriage record, right, in his marriage to Anne Taylor now. So now the question mark is around Gorham.
Yeah.
We had a look at the 1841 census, right, which is the first national census in the UK. We've found him on that record. So do you want to have a guess as to what surname he was using in 1841?
I haven't a clue.
Let's have a look. There he is. And it's Gorham. He's living with James and Betsy Gorham.
Right.
I think what's happened to his mother, Mary Ann Luckhurst, is Mary and James Gorham Sr. were living together. Mary died.
Right.
James married Betsy and continued to bring up James as his son.
I see.
So we have the Gorhams and we have the Lookhursts. We have good concrete evidence now to explain how those names came to be associated with your family. But let's look at the marriage certificate. This is 1846. He marries as Luckhurst. He fills out the paperwork under what his baptised name, Luckhurst. I imagine he wanted to honour his mother, Mary Ann Luckhurst. And this is where it starts to get, if it's possible, just a little bit more complicated. When we look at the 1851 census record, he's a Gorham now. So he's changed his surname. There might have been suspicious things that were motivating him to do that. So we thought we'd have a look through the records and see what we could find. So we looked at the criminal registers, and this is in Kent.
James Luckhurst.
This is a James Luckhurst, and he's being done for larceny. He was arrested for something, he was tried, he was found not guilty. Okay, so you have to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
One has to wonder if he didn't get in a little bit of trouble and said, all right, well, I'm going to leave the name Luckhurst behind, I'm going to be someone else.
Yeah.
We think he pops up again. Now, this time, he was charged with assaulting James Baker, a constable, whilst in the execution of his duty at East Peckham. And it's Gorham now. Now, it says down the bottom here, the prisoner, who was a returned convict, was sentenced to 12 months hard labour.
Returned convict.
So that means he had prior.
Right.
So we wanted to see just what else was thrown up. So we found another piece in the newspaper. Now, I'm just going to zoom in.
Highway robbery. With violence at Folkestone. Wow.
When we looked into this further, he was discharged without conviction on account that Henry Underdown was under the influence of alcohol, and therefore his evidence couldn't be taken. So now we're starting to see a picture of the man, and there's potentially some patterns of behaviour. It's not like he's decided to set out on a career as a criminal. I think he's just seen opportunities.
Chancer.
He's a chancer. So I'm starting to wonder if this isn't the thing that's exacerbated all this name changing. He was hiding.
Right.
He was hiding then, and to some extent he's still hiding now.
Yeah.
In the records.
I suppose I was hoping for something naughty, make him more interesting.
We've been able to confirm your suspicions that James might have been a bit of a naughty boy now and again.
Thank you so much.
Chris, thank you so much for sharing the story with us and introducing us to this mysterious man, James Gorham. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. I'm really quite pleased he's confirmed my suspicions and with exactly what he did. I'm really pleased and relieved to be finally knowing what my great-great-grandfather really got up to. That's what I was hoping for. We all like a bit of a scandal in the background. It's been a family mystery that's been solved, and I'm really happy about that. I won't have to keep looking now.
Another family secret revealed. Christine was hoping for an exciting conclusion. I think we've delivered it. Coming up, is it coincidence that a random photo of a young lad from the 1870s looks identical to someone living today? Or are they actually related?
When you look at the two photographs, the one in the same post, even the hairstyle looks similar.
Yeah.
You know?
But first, Keith Atwood is back to get some tips on how to move forward with a different family mystery. Over to law lecturer and historian Onyeka Nubia.
My great-grandfather had 6 children. There was only 4 that survived for the start of the First World War.
I see.
I hope to find out why these 4 brothers weren't called up for conscription in 1916 when the rest of the country was. They were aged between 30 and 39.
Right.
So I can't understand why none of them really were called up.
So, Alfred, Frank, Albert and Bert Atwood. After the Somme Offensive in November of 1916, conscription began in earnest Not every eligible person was called up in 1916. Problem is that about 60% of all World War I records were destroyed in September 1940.
Oh, right.
During a bombing raid. The brothers may have served on the home front, or they were possibly employed in a reserve occupation. For example, industrial output, teachers, clergymen, etc., were not always called up for active service. So, do you know any reason why any of the brothers wouldn't be called up for service?
Well, my cousin tells me that one of the brothers was actually an instrument maker.
Right.
He tells me that some of the instruments he used to make was barometers, micrometers and that kind, you know, real...
Perhaps compasses?
Could be, I don't know.
Because compasses are needed by soldiers. Someone that was involved in those sort of instrument making, that would be definitely reserved occupation.
Could be.
Yeah. Keith, we want to advise you now about how you can go forward with your research. We'd like you to look at the electoral registers list, especially for 1918, and the absent voters list. Entries on this absent voters list will provide a name, a number, and a regiment that they'd served up to. Right. So soldiers in between 1916 and 1918 enrolled in regiments, and those regiments can be found. We wish you all the luck with your research.
Thank you very much.
Great advice there from Onyeka. Let's hope Keith can use it to find out if his 4 great-uncles served their country. Now, when our next visitor spotted a photo in a local paper, he thought it was his nephew, until he realised the photo was taken nearly 150 years ago.
My name is Stephen Scullion. I come from a place called Felling in Gateshead. I was looking at the local newspaper. I saw this photograph of a young boy, and his name was James Scullion. It was quite spooky because he looked so like one of my nephews, and there was a gap of about 150 years. It got me to thinking if there were any James Scullions in my family history, and what I'm trying to ascertain is if that link is there. I will be absolutely delighted if there's anything. If there's nothing necessarily, then that's fine as well. At least I know.
Stephen, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming along today, and thank you for bringing us this marvellous photograph.
It wasn't a local magazine. It caught my eye because it resembles a nephew of mine, Matthew. So I delved into it a little bit further. What I managed to find out wasn't really much. The name, James Scullion, I think he's age 13, and he was up in front of the local beak, so to speak, for stealing a loaf of bread or whatever. That's about it, really.
We think it's 1870s, and in 1871, they sort of put this act into place that meant they had to start taking photographs of criminals. So they wanted to be able to identify them. Just so everybody can get the same kind of experience you got, let's have a look at the 2 of them side by side.
Right, yeah. When you look at the 2 photographs, the one and the same person, even the hairstyle looks similar.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
So this is your family tree, and we're focused here on the Scullion line, and we've taken it right back to your 2 times great-grandfather, Francis Scullion, who was born in Ireland, and about 1850 came out to England. Now, he may have been coming out because of the potato famine, because we know that was going on at that time. And Patrick was born in Heworth, in Gateshead. I mean, the first thing we wanted to do was to see, well, is there a James Scullion? And indeed, there is. In fact, there's many. Yeah. It seemed to be a reasonably popular combination of names, James Scullion. So we started doing some good, hard research. So this is the Market Waiton Reformatory book. This is essentially the entry book for what we strongly believe is the James Scullion who's in that photograph. Now, it's July 1873, which gives us a really good date for that photo. I just want to give you some idea of the detail that's on here. It says his place of birth was in Ireland, and it says 1860. His father was listed as a John Scullion, who's dead. His mother, Mary Mulholland, and they've also noted that she lived in Spring Garden Lane, Sunderland. Now, remember where your Scullion ancestors were.
Yeah.
Not that far away. Scullion's an interesting name, and we get our surnames from lots of different places. They can be handed down from fathers. Or, you know, one of the other options is we can get them from a place. Now, is there any connection in your scullion, connection to Ballyscullion?
That's what I came to that, well, not that conclusion, but I know that there's a Ballyscullion, and I think it's not too far from Belfast, if I'm right.
So we were able to find a baptism record for James Scullion, and you can see it here. It's date the 29th of March, 1863. This is a parish register, and it's for the parish of Ballyscullion.
Excellent.
Our roguish lad, James Scullion, was from Ballyscullion. So we're kind of getting close here. And you think there's a connection to Ballyscullion. Here's another Scullion with documented evidence pointing to Ballyscullion. Tantalisingly close. So now we know where he was from. We know your family. We know the Scullions. We know that there's a connection back to Ireland. We know that James is a common name in the family. We just can't get the records. We just don't have and have been unable to find that smoking gun record. So where do we go now? Let's take another look at the photos. Now, we've just changed the colour on them to make them both the same colour. We got a photographic expert to look at this, Maureen Taylor, and I'm just going to paraphrase some of the things that she said. If you look at the tilt to the ears, the similar nose, the deep-set eyes, and they even have the same small mouth. She said that there's a very strong positive correlation between these two people that suggests that there's a connection. For her to point that out with her background and her expertise, it says a lot. We've done a little bit of photo merging, and I think you'll be blown away by what you're about to see.
Goodness. Absolutely amazing. It's unbelievable. There's got to be some link there. There has to be. Absolutely amazing. Very impressed.
My question to you, when you look at that, do you need proof?
I think that's proof enough, to be honest. Now, when I'm looking at that, that's all the proof I need. Fantastic.
Stephen, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. And thank you so much.
Stephen, when you saw that merged photo, you looked shell-shocked.
Absolutely fantastic. Words just really failed me. I was trying to think of something to say. I have no idea what came out of my mouth at that moment. I really don't. Even though the link isn't 100%, I think it's near as close as it can get, really. It could have been the same person, even though there's 140, 150 years between them. That, to me, as far as I'm concerned, I'm happy with that. It's close enough, really.
That's proof for you.
Yeah, that'll do me.
That'll do you. I'm really glad. Going to take a bit of time to sink in, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to thank everybody for all of the efforts that they put in as well. Fantastic.
Oh, thank you. It's a great story.
Thank you. Thank you.
A satisfying conclusion there to Stephen's family mystery, and certainly proof enough for him.
We're at King's Western House in Bristol, a historic manor house in Somerset, where people from all over the UK have been gathering, eager to have their questions answered.
I found out that my grandparents emigrated on marriage to America, and I would just love to find out the name of the ship, where they sailed from, where they landed.
On hand are our team of genealogical and historical experts. Historian and law lecturer Onyeka Nubia.
What we see here now is success in your family tree.
Wow.
Ancestry genealogist Brad Argent.
When you do this stuff, you come across things that can be a little bit unsettling.
Yeah.
But first up, can historian and writer Tessa Dunlop discover the true story behind a Victorian scandal? 'Cause 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 'c
Victorian Britain was strictly divided, not just between rich and poor, but also classes within classes, and mixed relationships were considered shameful. Our next guest brings a family secret that goes back almost 200 years.
I started off trying to find out about my grandmother, Caroline Lee. I'm Caroline Owen. I live in a village, Burwell, in Cambridgeshire, and I've just turned 81. I've come to a complete dead end now in trying to find out who Grandma's mother was and where that line of the family came from. I have her father's marriage certificate to Granny's stepmother. He married when Granny was 4 years old, but there was never any record of a first marriage before Granny was born. Granny had a very strict childhood. She ran away at the age of 19 with my grandfather. He was 30 years older than she was. I believe she was probably pregnant at the time. She had 2 children before they got married, and she lived a very hard life after that. To find out how Granny was born, where she was born, who her mother was, would be very interesting. Because as far as I can tell, her father never married before she was born. I'm quite prepared for scandal.
Caroline, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
And bringing us a real conundrum on your paternal side.
Yes.
Here we have a lovely picture.
Yes.
Of your grandmother.
Yes.
Your father's mother.
Yes.
And you have no idea or any name of her mother, is that correct?
That's right.
So this is a woman born in the late Victorian period,
Yes.
your grandmother.
Yes.
But let's just find a picture.
Oh, that's her, yes.
Of Caroline as a little girl.
Yes.
And your great-grandfather was called Robert Westfield Lee, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And presumably here is her stepmother, because you don't know who the real mother was.
Absolutely, yes. That's Harriet Kirk, yes.
Dear Caroline didn't entirely behave as was anticipated by her respectable parents.
No.
Tell us a little bit about that. It's fascinating.
I think originally she met this soldier. He'd been in India, and he was obviously walking past the orchard of the house. And she was sitting on the wall, and apparently she threw an apple at him. And he was Reuben Stephen Mutimer.
Oh, gosh, quite a name.
Yes.
And he already had a family.
He had 4 children.
So he was 20, 30 years older
He was 30
than this
years
girl.
older.
30 years older. And his wife died, am I right?
Yes, his wife died, and it was after that, I think, that Caroline got to know him better. When she was 19, they eloped.
OK, so this would have been the height of scandal.
Scandal.
I mean, really difficult for a man like
She was
Robert.
disinherited.
Yeah. Let's now look at that marriage certificate and entry of marriage between Reuben Petch and Caroline, your grandmother, which led to 12 children.
Yes.
Now, the question, who was this woman, your grandmother's mother?
Yes.
Here we have your family tree. We're going up through your paternal line.
Yes.
So bumping up to Caroline Lee, who we've just met in that photograph,
Yes.
with her unsuitable older husband, Reuben. And we're going through to Robert Westfield Lee. But before he married Harriet, there was a mystery woman.
Yes.
And that is our quest, to identify this woman.
Absolutely.
Now, you told us that your grandmother, Caroline Lee, was born in 1881. We found no record of a Caroline Lee in 81, 82, 83. No. So we thought, in that case, we need to try and find a Caroline who may have been born under her mother's surname.
True.
And that meant looking at all the Carolines, and it's quite a popular
That's
name.
a lot.
Born in Lincolnshire.
Yes.
During this period, 81, 82.
Yes.
We honed in on one Caroline in particular. I have here a register of births in April, May and June 1882.
Right.
A Caroline Troop born in Gainsborough. Do you see?
Yes.
Why Troop, you may ask? Yes. Many Carolines born in this period in the Lincolnshire area. Well, I'm going to take you to the census of 1881, and we find living in the High Street, next door to each other, a Mary A. Troop, who's registered as a servant, Next door at 210 is a William Lees family.
Yes.
The son of whom is a Robert W. And it looks like that might have been your great-grandfather, Robert. And he had great fun, it would appear, with the servant next door called Mary.
Oh.
Mary Ann.
Oh, dear. Wicked. Oh, that's wonderful.
So we have this Mary Ann Troop. Now, interestingly, let's look at the birth certificate of your grandmother. Here she is, born in April 1882.
Yes.
And as you can see, her mother, Mary Ann Troop. And below that, the job is domestic servant.
So she probably worked for the family.
Or the family next door.
Yes.
But you can't work if you've got a baby.
No, you can't.
It was absolutely shocking.
That would explain why he then took responsibility for the child.
Well, indeed. It does appear that Mary Ann Troop relinquishes her daughter, and it's handed over to Robert.
Because she knew she would probably get a better life.
We tracked back in the census, and we discovered that Mary Ann Troop's mother was a Caroline.
Caroline Baines.
And you're, of course, a Caroline.
Yes.
We know that Mary Ann Troop died really very young. Here's her death certificate.
Oh, yes, 36.
She's just 36. So she died before the turn of the century.
Right.
Well, a really interesting story there.
Yes, and that's really fascinating.
Glad we were of some help.
Thank you. I think I've been searching that family in that side for a number of years, 5 or 6 years at least. Came up against a brick wall every time, but I'm certainly very happy, very relieved, and I want to find out more about Mary Troop now.
Caroline has not only discovered the details of her grandmother's scandalous birth, but also the identity of her great-grandmother, Mary, who she now intends to add, with pride, to her family tree. Coming up, we try to connect an Irishman with a film star.
Why do you think you're related to George Clooney?
Now to a man who inherited a family tree dating back centuries. He brought it here because he wanted the team to find the missing branches, including his father with no birth certificate and an estranged aunt who might have been a nun.
My name is John Oak Bartlett, and I've lived most of my life in and around the area of Portsmouth. One of my earliest memories was being lifted up above the parapet by the Round Tower in Portsmouth, and my mother saying, "Oh, this is the ship that your father is on, HMS Redpole," as it was leaving harbour. My father's name's Reginald Oak Bartlett. Well, I was nearly 2.5 when my father died. He joined the Navy at the age of 14 and was a boy sailor, and then worked his way up through the ranks until he ended up as a commissioned officer. I've always been very proud of him of doing that. My mother, one of the things she used to say, that there was always a problem with my father's birth certificate, and whenever I've tried to find it, I've never been successful. That's always been a stumbling block, because without that, you can't go back beyond that to find out where you've come from as such. One of the main things that I have is a family tree, which is a very old document. It goes way back to the middle of the 18th century. There is an autograph book which also came down to me, which belongs to my father. On the back page, there's a hand-drawn family tree which says Mum and Dad, and there's Kath is presumably his sister, and my father would never talk about her at all. And there was some talk that she'd become a nun, but whether or not that's true or not, I really don't know. This opportunity is absolutely fantastic. To be able to answer a few questions that I've been pondering over for the whole of my life, actually.
So, John, welcome.
Thank you.
You wanted to find out about your dad.
Yeah.
Right. What specifically were you trying to find out?
Really want to find out when my father was born and how he fitted into the family, because he died when I was 2.5 and he was in the Navy, and so most of that time he was at sea. And having died so young, my mother was a bit sketchy about his background.
Do you know anything? Like, you know, I'm assuming you had a birthday.
Yes, I don't know what it is.
OK, and do you know what about where he was born?
I think it's somewhere in the West Country. Bartlett is a West Country name, but that's all I know, really.
Can you tell me about this photo?
This is the wedding reception on HMS Redpole. That's my father in the centre, and that's obviously my mother. And this is, I think, the captain of the ship.
That's a bit posh, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know how... I don't know if that's a regular occurrence or not, but at the time. So it was an interesting place to have the reception.
So it was actually reported in the newspapers?
Yeah.
So it was quite a glitzy affair, I imagine?
I presume so.
Here it is,
That's
from the
it.
newspaper.
Yeah.
And they're being congratulated by Lieutenant Commander Blake.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So your dad was a little bit famous then?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. So we found a little bit of information about your dad. We actually pulled his service record.
Oh, right.
So let me bring that up.
OK.
So this is your father's naval record. So in his naval record, we have appraisals. And he gets quite glowing reports. Outstanding, most capable, trustworthy and efficient officer come through. So we're starting to get a picture of the character of your dad. We're still looking for this elusive birth certificate, right?
Yeah.
Information about
Yeah.
when was he born, where was he born. The beauty is, this naval record, it's there in the record. 25th of August, 1918. Place of birth, Boston, Lincolnshire.
Lincolnshire? Wow, wow.
So now we know when he was born.
Yeah.
And now we know where he was born. Does that help us find the birth? We've looked long and hard, and we haven't been able to find it.
Oh, strange.
Right. So we went and had a look at some other records to see what information we could find out about your dad. And so this is his mother's death certificate.
Yeah.
Right. Winifred Oak Bartlett, female, 63 years old. Right. And then it gives the details of the informant. And that's R.O. Bartlett, adoptive son.
Right. So he was adopted?
Which is why we can't find the birth certificate.
All right. So you're saying that actually I'm not a Bartlett, is that what you're saying?
You're a Bartlett,
Yeah.
right? The Bartlett history is your history.
Yeah.
But there's another part of you.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Yeah.
It's a bit of a revelation.
Well, yes, very much so, yeah.
We don't know the circumstances that led to your dad being in the situation where he needed to be adopted.
No.
Could there be a connection
Yeah.
between your dad's biological family and his adoptive family?
Yeah.
So you know you took a DNA test.
Yes.
And we've put the DNA into the network. And you've got a match with someone. And this is your second cousin.
Really?
Daphne.
Good heavens.
And she's the second cousin on your dad's side.
Right. Yeah.
And I've got a little message here from Daphne I just want to read out. John, pleased to meet you. And as excited as you to add you to my family tree. The thing is, which branch connects us? Can't wait to find out.
Well, that's extraordinary because that's the first living member of my father's family that I've ever heard or known about, you know. Incredible.
You and Daphne share a great-grandparent in common.
Uh-huh.
Between the two of you, you'll be able to work out who your granddad is.
Right. OK. Amazing.
So John finally knows that his struggle to trace his father's early life was because he was adopted. But Brad isn't finished there. Later, he'll have a surprising revelation about John's aunt.
Now to someone who bears a striking similarity to a Hollywood superstar. Jeremy Kenny, though, thinks it's not just his looks, and he's keen to find out more.
My main reason for applying to the show was to find out exactly what's going on with this lookalike situation with George Clooney. My name's Jeremy Kenny. I'm from a town called Shankill in South County Dublin. People will very often ask me, am I George Clooney? Or ask for an autograph or ask to have their photograph taken with me. Do I think I look like him? No, I never thought that. It was just that people told me that I looked like him. A researcher got in touch with me, having seen an article in the newspaper. The researcher had told me that the Kennys lived on lands immediately adjacent to the Clooneys in County Leash, just south of the centre of Ireland. And that was the connection which really sparked an interest. I think there's a real potential that somebody strayed over the wall or through the fence or walked across the field from the Kennys into the Clooneys or the Clooneys into the Kennys. The research I've done runs back to my great-great-grandfather, Edward Kenny, and I've sort of reached a bit of a block on that. I haven't been able to get further. And that's one of the key reasons why I contacted to see if there's any truth to a potential connection between the families. I'd love to see that.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Should I say George or shall we say Jeremy?
Jeremy.
And this is your girlfriend, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, good. So, why do you think you're related to George Clooney?
It's purely the historic connection that the families seem to live in the same townland.
Right. So what was the name of your great-great-grandfather?
Edward?
Edward, yes. Edward Kenny Sr.
Yes.
Right. So he lived in Queen's County.
Yes.
Which is the old way of saying County Leash.
Correct.
So what we have to try and figure out is what connection, if any, do you have to George Clooney? This is another family tree, which is the Clooney family tree.
Yes.
Which has George Clooney at the bottom and traces that lineage all the way up.
To Nicholas.
To Nicholas Clooney. Nicholas Clooney was a farmer. He was born in Windgap in 1820 in County Kilkenny.
Yes, just across the border.
Yes. By the 1860s, he immigrated to America and settled in Kentucky. And it's from there that we get the rest of the family tree, including George Clooney.
Sure.
Windgap, where the Clooneys are from, and your family hometown are quite a distance apart. So, actually...
Such a tease.
Actually, we find that you're not related to George Clooney, unfortunately. So, Sarah, are you disappointed that you're not in a relationship with George Clooney's second cousin?
No, absolutely not.
Twice removed. OK, great. Unfortunately, we found that you're not connected or related to George Clooney. We found something else out far more interesting.
Sadly for Jeremy, there's no link to Hollywood royalty. But coming up, Onyeka reveals a royal connection of a very different kind.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Earlier, Brad revealed to John Bartlett that his father was adopted and that he has family he never knew existed.
And this is your second cousin.
Really?
Daphne.
Good heavens.
But John is also keen to find out about his dad's sister, Kath.
This is something my mother used to talk about, that he had a sister, but there was some kind of a family rift or something like that. And so she was never mentioned, and my mother didn't know much about her. She thought that she'd become a nun. So that's literally all I know.
So what evidence do you have that there is actually a Kath?
Well, only from this autograph book, with this family tree, which has been written out, and she's there.
So here we've got this lovely hand-drawn family tree. So there's a Kath here.
Yeah.
Somebody's gone to the trouble to actually draw this. So we've dug around a little bit. to see what we could find. So let's see if we can tell Kath's story.
Yeah.
We've actually found a birth record for what we're pretty certain is Kath. So let's bring that up and have a look. If you look at the birth certificate, you'll notice that it's actually Muriel Karina, which is obviously shortened to Kath.
Yeah.
Look at the father is Reginald Oak Bartlett. The mother is Winifred Hildebrand. These would be your grandparents?
Yes, it would be, yes.
This is a nice piece of evidence for the existence
of Kath. Yeah.
And then we need to, you know, start thinking about, OK, where are we going to find her? Did your mum ever meet Kath?
She never spoke about that. There'd been a family rift, apparently, and my father wouldn't talk about her.
So this is her birth certificate, right? We've got that. And this is where she fits in to the tree. Muriel Karina. And we've found a bit of information.
Right.
And it's a little confronting. You know, sometimes, John, when you do this stuff, you come across things that can be a little bit unsettling. But it's the truth.
Yeah.
So the 39 census, which was taken just before the outbreak of the war, and we find Kath here, Muriel Bartlett. Now, if you have a look at where she is, she's at a home. And I'm not sure if you can notice as well, it's run by the Sisters of Mercy.
Oh. That's a nun thing.
Exactly.
Oh, I see.
She wasn't a nun. She was in a home that was run by nuns because she had a disability. You can barely see it written in the margins. It says incapacitated and crippled. That's not a word that we use anymore.
No.
But back then it was a word that covered a whole range of different things, right? We don't really know what caused her to be in that situation. Could have been an accident, it could have been a problem. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for letting us be part of this wonderful story.
It's amazing.
So, John, an awful lot to take in.
Absolutely.
How are you feeling?
Well, it's quite a shock, really, just to sort of, like you say, take it all in. I'll be thinking about it for a while, I think.
What struck you? What was the big thing for you that was revealed that you didn't know about?
Well, there's several things. First of all, this sister of my father's, Kath, who unfortunately seemed to have been looked after as a cripple by the nuns, and also the fact that my father was adopted. That is quite an extraordinary sort of revelation.
And you've discovered a member of your family you didn't even know you had.
Absolutely, a second cousin coming in, yeah. She might know something about the family that I don't, for instance.
And you leave here, at least with some answers.
Absolutely, yeah.
If not some questions as well.
There's some questions, yeah. But certainly got some answers, which is wonderful.
So John not only leaves today with a deeper insight into the lives of his beloved father and missing Aunt Kath, he also has some new names to add to the family tree. Earlier, Jeremy Kenny discovered that despite an uncanny resemblance, he has no connection to Hollywood hero George Clooney. But historian Onyeka is taking his family in a different direction.
Now I want you to have a look at this family tree that you are connected to.
Yes.
Do you notice anything about the family tree?
Well, you've got vine coming through here, which is the French vigne.
Yes.
And I have a watch from James Vine, which he made in the late 1700s. We believe that he was a goldsmith, and this is the trade that he brought with him to London.
Right.
I have this watch, which was passed down through the generations, and it's quite incredible to have something. And even before I came here, in the last few days, when I took this out of the strongbox and I put it in my son's hands, I said, here you have a piece made by your ancestor. Not only can you feel it and hold it, but you can actually even hear the sounds that they heard.
Indeed.
It's quite incredible.
Indeed. So, within your family tree, there are craftsmen, and you had an idea that they were Huguenots. And the Huguenots have been coming to England. They were a Protestant minority that had been persecuted for about 250 years. You may wonder why I'm showing you a picture of the Royal Courts of Justice. It's because your ancestor, James Vine, had amassed a fortune because on the 18th of May, 1763, he appears in court to testify against a man called Edmund Collins, because Edmund Collins had stolen from him one gold ring set with diamonds, and another gold ring, and 2 quarter guineas.
A fortune.
It's a fortune. It's quite a lot for a person to be carrying in the 1700s.
Yes.
Which suggests something about your ancestor. Successful, wealthy.
Incredible.
Now, James Vine had a son also called James.
Yep.
And it was he who brought the Vine family to Ireland. James Jr. moved to the hometown of Dublin around 1769. So James was a jeweller and a watchmaker, like his father had also been. And like his father, he was also successful at it. He had an establishment at 27 College Green.
Wow. Right in the centre of things.
It's the heart of the city.
It really is.
These premises are premises that your ancestors once owned.
Wow.
The same city, the same streets that I believe you walk past.
Absolutely, regularly. A real link. Incredible.
There's actually more.
Wow.
This is a page from a publication from the 1700s. And in it contains the name of your ancestor.
Mr. James Vine, jeweller to His Majesty.
Right.
So by royal appointment.
By royal appointment.
That's serious.
That's very serious. Do you know which Majesty this would be?
George III?
George, is this better than George Clooney? It's still George.
Excellent.
So if we move on a little bit, James Vine Jr. also had a son. Their son's name was Henry, born in 1783. So Henry Vine had a sister, Marianne.
Yes.
Born in 1777. And Marianne married a painter by the name of George Chinnery. George Chinnery was born in London in 1774, but moved to Dublin. So this is a portrait of George Chinnery, the famous artist.
Is it a self-portrait?
It is.
Amazing.
But then he also painted another picture, and that's Marianne Vine. And this picture is in the National Gallery of Ireland.
Amazing.
And who is she to you?
So a great-great-great-grandmother?
Aunt.
Great-aunt.
Yes. So you came here today expecting to be connected to Hollywood royalty, but in fact you find out that you are connected to real British royalty.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ah, so your good looks don't come from the Clooney.
What a pity.
What a pity. Are you disappointed?
No, not at all. I'm fascinated by what was uncovered. It's really incredible, the depth of information that's been fed out on my maternal line.
It's an incredible story. So you might have no connection to George Clooney, but you do have a connection to George III.
Incredible.
Though the Clooney connection has been ruled out, Jeremy has learnt of a much more impressive link to his Huguenot ancestors. Still to come, Tessa meets a woman with a sad tale of a courageous young prisoner of war.
It's all about patriotism, killing country, and not being a coward.
Our next story takes us across the oceans to an exotic Caribbean island. Since discovering her ancestors once lived on Barbados, Kim Saul and her dad Terence have grown suspicious as to why they were actually there.
I've been studying family tree for many years, and I found out that my great-grandfather was born in Barbados. So I want to know why my great-great-grandfather, Alfred George Clayton, ended up there and had a child there. His family originated from Cranbrook in Kent, which is where he was born. I don't know why he was in Barbados, but I do know that he married while he was there, and his wife was born in Barbados. At first I was excited when I found out about the Barbados connection, but then as it dawned on me that it was so close to the abolition of the slave trade, I became a a bit anxious that there was some connection to it.
So, Kim, welcome.
Thank you.
So, what have you come here looking for today?
I'm trying to find out some more information about my great-great-grandfather who ended up in Barbados for some unknown reason.
And what was his name?
Alfred George Clayton.
So let's just put this in context a little bit. This is your family tree. This is you down here. We step back through Terence, your dad, and then we have Alfred Clayton, your great-great-grandfather.
Yep.
So Alfred had a son, William.
Yes.
With Mary Elizabeth Scott. Now, you know him as William Clayton, but he's baptised as Scott. Have you seen this document before?
I don't think so.
This is a baptismal record. Just there is William Alfred Scott.
Yes.
What you might notice about that is there's no father's name, there's no Clayton there.
No.
Because they weren't married. When they've gone to get William baptised, there's been no record of the marriage, so the father's name is not recorded. It just means somebody who was officiating needed to see a piece of paper that they were unable to see, so they filled in Scott, not Clayton. But then we want to have a look at Mary Elizabeth Scott, see what we can find out about her. Can you see where William, their son, is born? Drax Hall.
Drax Hall.
And Drax Hall is a wonderful building with a very interesting history. Drax Hall was built around about 1640s, 1650s in Barbados. And it was one of the first places in the world to commercially cultivate sugarcane for centuries. But the other thing about the sugarcane industry, particularly in Barbados, is what drove it. And that was?
Slave industry.
It was the slave industry. So you've kind of come here today to find out if that means there's a connection between you and the slave trade. Now, what about Alfred Clayton? What do you know of Alfred Clayton? Your great-great-grandfather? What do you think he might have been doing in Barbados?
I really don't know what could have taken somebody from a small Kent town all the way to Barbados.
Do you think there might have been any association with slavery?
Slavery, yeah.
Well, in fact, if you have a good look at this record there, it's a military record. Because he was in the military.
Oh.
And that's what put him in that place at that time. He was there as a gunner. So this is the piece of evidence that we need that says he's not associated with slavery.
That's a relief to know that he was there for military reasons and not anything else. Yeah. He was serving his country.
So, Kim, thanks for sharing this story with us. I hope we were able to put you at ease.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I've had a few moments for it to sink in. I'm really pleased that we haven't got any slave owners in our family. That's a relief. I was worried that it might be worse. So I am quite pleased that it's not what it could have been.
So Kim and Dad Terence are delighted to discover Kim's great-great-grandfather Alfred was actually in the military and not linked to slavery after all. Next, the tragic tale of a young World War I soldier from Cornwall whose death united the community.
My name's Daphne Price. A story we always heard as a family growing up was about Uncle Harvey, so my great-uncle, who was treated very badly in the First World War and died as a result of his experiences. I discovered a photograph of my grand's wedding to my granddad, and Harvey was in the photo aged 13, and it was 1913, and 6 years later he was dead. And if I transpose that to my children and my grandchildren, it makes it very real. My grandmother would tell me stories about Harvey. She told me that he was young to go to war, that he'd volunteered, he hadn't been conscripted, and she used to tell me about the horrible treatment he had.
Daphne, thank you so much for joining us. And you've brought less of a mystery, really more of a story
Yes.
And a great picture to kick off with. I believe this is the wedding picture of your grandmother and grandfather.
Yes, yes. Esther is seated with her two sisters, and the little boy is Harvey.
And the little boy is the story that we're going to follow today.
He is, yes.
So, in effect, he's your great-uncle Harvey.
Yes.
This is a Cornish family.
Yes.
And the picture's taken before the war, just before the war.
This was 1913 when my gran got married.
And Harvey is an innocent 13.
Yes.
But, of course, towards the end of the war, Harvey gets caught up in the maelstrom because he signs up, 18 years old, ended up in the face of the German Spring Offensive. By 1918, two significant things had happened. One was the Americans had joined our side, the Allied side, and the Russians had fallen away. There'd been a revolution in 1917. They'd effectively surrendered their way out of the war. That meant two things for Germany. They had to capitalize on the divisions that had been freed up on the Russian front and put them to good use before the full force of American material and men was deployed. Yes. And so crash, bang, wallop, they gave it absolutely everything they had. To an extent, the velocity of it took the Allied side by surprise. And here we have a special order of the day by Field Marshal Sir Douglas Haig. Now, this is in early April. The 11th of April, and he tells the boys, kids as we know them to be, of course, with our backs against the wall and believing in the justice of our cause, each one of us must fight to the end.
And to fight, you probably have to be inspired.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about patriotism, king and country, and not being a coward. That was the key for these young lads. But Harvey was captured, and of course the extraordinary International Red Cross with its record-keeping delivers for us. You can see on the date there, he was captured in Messines in France on the 10th of April, 1918. So just a day before Haig, Field Marshal Haig, felt it necessary to give that dramatic order. Yes. Things were really dark at this time. He does, of course, end up in a German prisoner of war camp. The Friedrichsfeld prisoner of war camp, originally designed to hold 35,000 prisoners. And by all accounts, this is a report of the conditions at the beginning of the war. Okay. It had rather high-blown ideas of providing pastoral care and a concert once a week and meat 5 times a week. Of course, by the time your poor great-uncle rocks up at the end of the war, it's a totally different game. No. It's a hellhole.
The story in the family was that he ate potato peelings and grass.
He would have lived like rats. They were living by the end. We get to the end of the war. Harvey's still alive. He arrives in an Edinburgh hospital, and here are his parents. That's right. Presumably your great-grandparents, who come up to Edinburgh all the way from Cornwall. Yes. And I know that the Western Morning News reported that he was so horrifically malnourished that he didn't, in fact, survive. No. And he died, I believe, at something like 19 years old and 10 months. And what's interesting, of course, is the attention this got in the local press. This one's from the Cornishman on the 15th of January. And it talks of how he was starved to death by the Germans. And it also mentions his wonderful spirit, rather touchingly. It says, we're not going to dwell on the horrificness of the enemy. And instead they write, the beautiful spirit of the lad who bade his mother pray not for him, but for his enemies who had so cruelly treated him. And he was going off to heaven, he believed, to be with his sister
who died the previous year.
What's fascinating is that because here was this young boy, a symbol of the sacrifice that the entire country had made, he was given this impressive burial. It wasn't a military funeral, but there was a gun salute, and the locals, I believe, funded this, and they also funded his headstone, which again there we see in loving memory of Private Harvey Pearce. What's the sentiment now, 100 years on?
I think as a mum and now a grandma, my eldest grandson is 13, so the age of Harvey in that photo. To think that our children, my son certainly won't fight, hopefully my grandchildren won't fight, and nobody else's, because it is a waste.
A terrible waste.
A terrible waste. It's lovely to bring it all together in the historical context. It makes you realise that you're part of a wider family.
He was my uncle, and because of what happened to him, my mother made sure that it was never going to be forgotten.
throughout the family, and I've told my children about him too, so the memory will never die.
Welcome to Cape Thorne Hall, a historic stately home in Macclesfield in Cheshire, where people from all over the UK have been flocking to have their questions answered.
People of all ages and backgrounds have come here in the hope of solving their family mysteries.
On both sides of my family, I have ancestors who were scuttlers, which is the Manchester Salford version of Peaky Blinders, and I just want to find out more about it.
I've always been told related to Guy Fawkes since I was told about 20-odd years ago, so I just came to see if there's any truth to the rumour.
To help them on their road to success, our team of experts, including Ancestry DNA expert Brad Argent, who explores whether one woman has a unique connection to a legendary British novel.
The story of King Solomon's Mines was based on my grandfather.
He must have been something of a character in the family.
Law lecturer and historian Onyeka Nubia. And historian Tessa Dunlop, who reveals the remarkable experience of a World War II soldier.
He was a globetrotter in this war. He really saw the underbelly of a world war.
But first, today's show begins with a man trying to understand his past so that he can inspire his family's future.
Stephen McWilliams wants to find out about his military father and an extended family he never knew.
I know very, very little about my parents, and certainly nothing about their parents. I would think I was around 14 when my father died. And of course, young guys spend a lot of time with the father, which I never had that opportunity. And my mother really wasn't very forthcoming with information about my father because obviously it was upsetting for her to discuss it. In excess of 40 years ago, I got divorced, and of course, when you get divorced, families split, we move away. I have a daughter who's in California. I haven't seen for maybe 20 years. And then 4 years ago, my daughter contacted me on social media, and it was quite as you can imagine, quite a thing. And I then discovered that I have 2 grandchildren, and this is what I want out of this show, is information that I can give to my grandchildren.
Stephen McWilliams, I gather you've joined us all the way from Spain.
That's right.
Hence your lovely tan.
Well, yeah, thank you.
So what are you hoping to discover today? We have here, I should say, a picture of your father, Edward, with your mother, Anna.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just really want to know more about my family.
And your siblings, you have not had any contact with for some time?
No, I haven't. You know, we lost contact maybe a long time ago, really.
OK, well, we took your parents' names, Edward McWilliams and Anna Jean Stevenson, and I'm going to introduce you, first of all, to their marriage certificate. There we can see your father getting married just towards the very end of the Second World War to Anna. There were 2 interesting things about this marriage certificate. It told us his rank or profession, but this gave us his military number.
Oh, right.
OK, which was going to allow us to have a much more detailed look at what he got up to. And we can see there he was with the Royal Inniskillen Fusiliers, a Northern Irish regiment. And we found out that your father joined up very young, aged 18, in 1934.
Wow.
And here we have your father's military record, or part of it. It was quite extensive. I'm going to take you through, if I may, the various different countries and experiences your father is privy to within the first few years, not just of war, but in fact of his military career. By 1936, he was over in Palestine, dealing with the Second Arab Revolt. Of course, because of the extreme anti-Semitism on the continent, in Germany and in Eastern Europe, you see a heightened number of Jewish immigrants arriving in Palestine, which puts great tension on the region between the 2 communities, hence the reason why there was this revolt. And Palestine is within our empire. We acquired it, I think, in the First World War. So he then moves from there to Malaysia, and he's in Malaysia at the outbreak of war. It's lucky he doesn't stay in Malaysia because, of course, that gets turned over by the Japanese in a couple of years' time. In fact, he goes next to India. He moves from India, as many Indian troops did as well, to the Middle East. So already, by the beginning of the war, if you can keep up, we've done Palestine, we've done Malaysia, India, and now we're in the Middle East. Before the era of EasyJet,
just a bit,
your father is really experiencing life and war at the coalface. I mentioned the Middle East. You see here an article in the Sunday Dispatch. British troops land in Iraq to checkmate Hitler's drive for vital oil wells. We acquired Iraq in the First World War. In fact, at the end of the First World War, our empire had never been bigger, this kind of out-of-control giant. And as the Sunday Dispatch there references, it was all about oil. There was a sort of coup in favour of the Germans that we quickly sought to squash. And your father, by this stage, was in the Persia and Iraq force. And that worked in conjunction with the Soviets, and your father again was part of this, entering Iran from the north, again to safeguard the oil wells.
He was a busy guy, wasn't he?
Yeah. He would have had a suntan better than yours by the end of it.
Well, quite possibly.
He doesn't end his war there, because your father ends up in Burma. It's quite extraordinary to think what your father was witness to, really, isn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable.
What's really interesting about your father's record, and has been fascinating to reference, is I think we talk about the Second World War, but we tend to always reference it as a European war, you know, and the Blitz and the D-Day landings and what happens near to home. But your father, he was a globetrotter in this war. He really saw the underbelly of all the different bits of a world war.
Wow. It's a bit of an eye-opener, isn't it, this?
How does it make you feel differently about your father? Does it help explain him a bit?
Yeah, it does, yeah. Yeah, because he was quite a solemn guy. He wasn't sort of a bouncy, happy guy. He was a thinker. And now you think, well, he's done all of this and ends up in Birmingham. It just seems very, very odd, you know, I don't know. I never spoke about it at all. I'm not totally convinced that my mother knew where he was. You know, because she never spoke about it either.
Let's just go back to that marriage certificate of your parents in Birmingham in 1945. The name of your father's father, so your grandfather, he pops down as Edward McWilliams, so a second Edward, who he notes is deceased. And I want now to take you from this marriage certificate to the birth certificate of your father. So it's a bit confusing, we've got two Edwards, but we're now going to go to Edward, your father's birth certificate, which, as I'm sure you know, is 1915. His mother is named as Lizzie McWilliams, but it should be the name of a father, and there isn't. And the informant on the birth certificate is Susan McWilliams, who was Lizzie's mother. Which leads us to suspect your father was, in fact, born out of wedlock in the First World War.
Oh.
Not something he was perhaps comfortable with, because he fakes a name of a father on his marriage certificate.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, in those days, you didn't admit always to being born out of wedlock.
That's right.
But let's stick with Lizzie. You know that your father had a brother.
Yes. Sandy. I think it was Sandy.
It was Sandy. Here's Sandy.
Wow, look at this.
Yeah, he also had a significant military record.
Really?
So, yeah, quite a pair.
Yeah.
So there's Sandy. In fact, he was named originally Alexander and called Sandy for short.
Oh, right, okay.
He was also, incidentally, born out of wedlock, Alexander. Now, let's go back to Lizzie, Eliza, your grandmother, if we may. We've got your father, Edward, and so too Sandy, your uncle, Alexander, as he was born. And we love a happy ending here. Lizzie, to be truly happy in that day and age of the nuclear family, what did she need? She needed a husband.
And we can give her one.
Oh, wow.
1921, William McKinney marries Elizabeth McWilliams. And I can also tell you that that marriage bore fruit. Adding to your family tree, I can name an uncle of yours called Robert and 2 more girls, so 2 aunts called Lily and Ruth. So your grandmother actually had 5 children.
Wow. That's why I can't get my breath for what we've got so far, let alone what, you know, it's just amazing.
Stick with that thought. Here's a picture. Can you identify the 2 people in this picture?
No, it'd be easier for me to identify the brick. I have no clue.
Well, that's actually a picture of your father.
Wow.
With his mother, Lizzie.
Goodness gracious.
Where do you think we might have got this picture from?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. That's what I've been thinking about that. Somebody's got some photographs somewhere, so there's a person.
Stephen may have already learned about his father's incredible military career, but stay tuned as he's about to meet some of his extended family for the first time. Our next story sees Brad try to crack Norma Shaw's family rumour that her grandfather inspired one of Britain's greatest adventure novels.
I would like to find out if my grandfather, Harry Hill Felton, it was the inspiration for the main character in King Solomon's Mines book. I've come along today with great anticipation, but also with trepidation and nervousness to see what's been found, if anything.
So, Norma, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming today, and thank you for bringing us this story of King Solomon's Mines and the potential connection between your family through Harry Hill Felton.
Well, when my aunt, my mum's sister, passed away in Perth in Australia, she found a sheet of paper amongst her mum's belongings which said that the story of King Solomon's Mines and the main character, Alan Quatermain, was based on my grandfather, Harry Hill Felton. It's something I hadn't heard of prior to that. So it was really quite a revelation, and even more of a revelation if it was true.
The book, King Solomon's Mines, by H. Rider Haggard, was published in 1885, and we know it was turned into a number of films.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first English adventure set in Africa, and the public ate it up. For that story to be true, he must have been something of a character in the family, right? To have that kind of the weight to carry off that story. So let's try and get a little bit more information on who your grandfather was.
Right.
Harry was a military man,
Yes.
and we know he served up until 1908, and then he left the army. But then, of course, when war broke out again, he served again and was a marksman in the First World War.
Yes.
Now, we know before the war he went and served in quite a few different places. Singapore, for example. So there was something of the adventurer about him before the Great War.
Yes.
Now, of course, the strong connection between the Quatermain character, there's a connection to Africa. So what we needed to do is to say, OK, can we find him in Africa? We went digging, all right? And this is what we were able to find. Now, these are medal rolls, right? Now, a lot of the First World War service records were destroyed. About 60% of them were destroyed in the Second World War. So what we have to do is use ancillary records to try and piece together what somebody's service was. And these medal rolls, even though they don't tell us much, in this case, they actually tell us quite a bit. So we can see here, there he is, Harry Hill Felton. There's a date there, 10th of April, 1915, and in brackets it says 4A. 4A is an army code, because they like to abbreviate everything. And 4A refers to German East Africa.
Right.
So we know he's in Africa. So, OK, well, here we have this dashing young man, served everywhere. We see him in Africa. So you can kind of see how maybe bits of the story start falling into place.
Mm-hmm.
But then we need to go, OK, how can we prove a connection to him and Alan Quatermain? So we start looking at the author, writer Haggard, and seeing if we can find any reference anywhere that might give some clue to who the inspiration for that was. And you have to remember, this was published in 1885, right? So he's got to have got the genesis of that story some time ago. And when we did our research, we found a picture of this man. Do you know who this is?
No.
This is Frederick Selous. Now, all the references we've found suggest he was the inspiration for Alan Quatermain.
Right.
Now, he was born in 1851, right? So he has plenty of time to build up that reputation, and in fact, he has quite the reputation as an explorer in Africa. But there is a family connection between you and this man, because he served in the same regiment as Harry Hill Felton. In fact, he died in 1917 in German East Africa.
Wow.
So what I think's happened is here you have this man, right, who served in the same regiment. He may well have met this man.
Mm-hmm.
He's told the story that he'd served alongside the inspiration for Alan Quatermain.
Uh-huh.
And that's just got passed down and consolidated into this story. And why wouldn't it? Because look at Harry, you know? He'd been around the world. There was something about him and the life that he led that had the adventurer in it.
Uh-huh. A family myth.
But all myths start from something, and that's one that we've cracked here today.
Right.
So Norma's grandfather may not have been the inspiration for Alan Quatermain, but she has discovered an amazing connection to the man who was. And Brad has another surprise in store for Norma later on in the programme.
So there's one more thing we've got to show you.
Can't believe you found that. I really can't.
Earlier, Stephen learned about his father's extraordinary role in World War II. Now, Tessa's about to reveal an even greater discovery.
Where do you think we might have got this picture from?
Somebody's got some photographs somewhere, so there's a person.
The cogs are turning. Let's just go back to the family tree if we may. And it's kind of a maze, and not everyone's on this.
It's getting busy, isn't it? Now?
It is getting busy. Stick with me. So we've got Eliza, right, with originally the unknown father of your father, Edward, and Alexander, Sandy, Uncle Sandy. And there we can see Stephen pops out at the end. But tracking on our other side, we know she marries William McKinney, your step-grandfather, therefore. And they have a Robert. And Robert had a son called David. The photographs came from David. And David has very kindly travelled from Scotland to tell you he's your first cousin.
Oh, well.
David, come on over.
Hello, David. How are you?
It's good to see you.
Yeah. Amazing, isn't it, all this?
And a sister, Denise.
This is
another cousin.
Hello.
So my mum used to show me the picture of Lizzie and Teddy. He was called Teddy.
Stephen's dad was called Teddy.
Stephen's dad was called Teddy.
Wow.
What's going on in your head at the moment?
I'm just absolutely, I just can't believe all this. I'm blown away. I really am. Fantastic.
Well, listen, you've got a lot to catch up on, I expect you to. So thank you both for making the trip here today. It's been, immense sharing your story with you, David and Stephen.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Wow. What a day. I mean, the photograph of my father with his mother when he was
I don't know, maybe 2 or 3. It's just fantastic. It's going to be a fantastic present for my grandchildren. And they're going to have plenty now to study and look at and realise some ambitions that they have. And they'll know where their families come from now, which is really nice.
It's just stunning that this has just happened. It's just stunning.
Stephen McWilliams came to the show longing to know more about who his father was. Not only have we uncovered his father's incredible military career, we've also united him with relatives that he never knew he had.
The Battle of Jutland in 1916 was the defining naval engagement of the First World War, effectively closing off the northern seas to Germany. History graduate Peter Jones and his father, Tom, want to find out if they have a connection to this historic battle.
My name's Peter Jones and I'm from Liverpool. My dad's dad, Tom Jones, was the brother of William Jones. We're just trying to see whether they were actually brothers, because on the 1901 census, William was listed as a stepson of their dad. Yet in the 1911 census, he's listed as a son. So we're just trying to see why he goes from stepson to son and just trying to see if we're related to him. We're pretty sure that he was in the Battle of Jutland and he did die there. Everyone would like to have a war hero within the family, and it appears that William Jones could be our war hero. It'd just be amazing to find out whether he's a stepbrother or an actual brother, and then have he had any children, and whether I've got a whole new family maybe somewhere out there, and just to meet new people.
Peter Jones, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And bringing us this fascinating case.
Thanks.
Now, we're going to be investigating this potential blood relative, a William Jones, who you think and hope is your great-uncle, yes?
Yeah, because he's like a stepson on one census and another one he's a son, so we just want to see whether he's like actually related to me or what he is, basically.
And you've ascertained already that this young man, William Jones, died during the Battle of Jutland.
Yeah, yeah. It was like the biggest battle, the naval battle of the war, wasn't it? So,
it was, and it kind of, historically, I think, somehow got a little bit overshadowed by the Somme that came next, which was the most horrific killing machine. So let's first of all ascertain whether this young man, William, was in fact a relative. And to do that, we need to track his birth. In 1892, you can see there in West Derby, William is born to a Mary Ellen Major. Now, you will notice there is an absence on that birth certificate. Can you pick it out?
The father, is it?
There is no father named, which means he was illegitimate. It was a bit of an inauspicious start for William because he's born in a workhouse, Walton Workhouse.
Oh, God, yeah. That's quite sad, isn't it?
Well, it's not
great.
An ideal start, minus a father and minus any means of having a child anywhere better than a workhouse. And the workhouses were pretty rotten places. So let's have a quick look at the family tree as it stands. Here are you at the bottom. We're going on up to your grandfather, Thomas Jones. And the question mark is, of course, to what extent was Thomas related to his brother, William Jones? Because was it a half-brother, a step-brother, a full brother? What's vital is for us to be able to connect Mary, William's mother, with the Jones that's in your family tree.
Yeah.
And we have Mary Ellen Major there as the mother of both Thomas Jones and William Major Jones, and I'll show you why. Because on that census, I believe you've already seen, the 1901 census, we have William Major, with his mother's maiden name now as his middle name. He is the stepson, as you'd identified, of none other than William Jones, your great-grandfather. Yeah. William Jones has married Mary. You see their head of family and wife.
Yeah.
And then she goes on to have several more children.
Yeah.
OK, that's confirming, therefore, that Mary's the mother of both your grandfather, Thomas, and so too William, your great-uncle.
Great to find out that I am actually related to him. That's why we came.
Now, let's track William. What does he do next? We're going to go to 1912. Here is his service record. You'll see stamped at the top, Portsmouth. Portsmouth and Plymouth were the kind of heart of the British Navy. So we see that William Jones, born, as we know, in 1892, has, by 1912, signed up and joined the Navy. He joins as a coal porter, and he's a stoker, second-class stoker to begin with. Looking at his naval record, he has quite a career, 9 different vessels. He's promoted to stoker first class. So a hard-working lad, and I think probably about the same age as you. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
23.
23. So here he is signing up, joining up at age 20 in 1912.
That's a bit mad, isn't it?
So we now track him on a little bit. We know that by March 1914, he's joined the crew of HMS Fortune, which is a new breed of destroyer. I think about 20 of them were built, and, well, that's his home, really, for the next 2 years. And sadly, history tells us that HMS Fortune doesn't make it beyond June 1916, and, of course, you know why. Here we have the Battle of Jutland. There's a bit of code breaking goes on, and we ascertain that the German fleet are trying to relinquish our stringent control of their northern coastline, because, of course, the British blockade, that's our great fixation during the war. We've got to somehow work out a way of effectively starving the Germans of resources and fuel and food. And the Germans think they've got to somehow break this stronghold, which is why you get this almighty clash. Now, what's interesting is we're supreme in terms of our navy at this point. So naval supremacy means we can throw at the Germans a greater number of ships, greater manpower. It's been seen historically as a somewhat dubious victory because of the extent of the loss. Statistically, I think it was 6,000 British men died. The Germans failed to break the blockade, and their naval capacity was severely weakened because, as I say, they didn't have as big a navy as us in the first place. So British claimed it as a victory, but in terms of the moral impact of such a loss, that was tough to come to terms with. Actually, HMS Fortune, as it was alight, burning and going down, it was still firing at the enemy. So really, an unpleasant way to die.
Yeah, no, that would be horrible, wouldn't it?
What
How
loss?
old was he then?
24-year-old lad.
It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
a year for me. Be dead, it's horrible, isn't it?
We know that he got married to an Alice Buckley in 1912. So the same year he joins the Navy, he also gets married. And that same year as well, he has a baby, also called Alice.
He was busy then.
He was busy. He's already joined the Navy by the time baby Alice comes along in October 1912. And we also know that he got a bit of leave because the year he dies in 1916, he has not just one more baby, but in fact 2. Margaret, you can see named there, do you see 1916? Is actually one of 2 twins. So Alice, his wife, already has baby Alice, and then she has twins, Margaret and William Jr.
Oh, right, okay. More family, yeah. So just research into that after this. And...
Good luck to you, and well done for engaging, really, with an extraordinary life. You know, it's so short,
yeah,
but...
did a lot in the time.
Yeah, really compact, wasn't it? They got fitted so much in.
Yeah, thank you for all your help.
Was it helpful for you to sort of fill in those gaps? I know you knew some of it, but a lot of it you didn't know, like this big extended family you now have.
Yeah, for us to find out, no, he was definitely related to us, and he has had kids afterwards, and it's exciting and interesting.
You've got some more detective work to do, really, haven't you?
Yeah, well, me and my dad, I think we'll get on it.
Good luck. Thanks very much for coming to share
much.
your story today.
Nice to meet you, thank you.
Nice to meet you too, Peter.
Another success story, as our team confirms Peter's connection to a war hero and also reveals an extended family he knew nothing about. Coming up, will Norma discover the final resting place of her great-great-grandfather?
I can't imagine what it was like to go from London to that spot on the map at that point in history.
Sir Douglas Bader is Britain's most famous wartime pilot. He lost both his legs in a crash, but went on to become a hero of World War II. Julian Amos from Warwickshire wants to know if he's connected to him.
My name's Julian Amos, and I'm a motorcycle development test rider, which means I ride prototype motorcycles and help the manufacturers develop them. I want to find out if there's a genuine link between our family and the family of Sir Douglas Bader. Douglas Bader was actually one of my childhood heroes. He's still one of my heroes. He joined the RAF initially in the very late 1920s. But in 1931 was involved in an accident where he crashed his aircraft and lost both his legs as a result. The RAF wouldn't allow him to fly. But when the Second World War kicked off in 1939, they needed pilots. So he got his job back. He's probably one of the best-known Battle of Britain fighter pilots.
Group Captain Bader led the flight past in his Spitfire on Battle of Britain Day, and what a sight it was.
In Bader's earliest biography, Reach for the Sky, on the very first page was a mention of his great-grandfather, whose name was John Stuart Amos. And that's what I want to find out. I want to know if that's the same Amos family as my own. My grandfather, Joseph Amos, was in the Royal Naval Air Service in the First World War. Dad joined the RAF just after the war in the early 50s. And my uncle, he was also in the RAF. There's a family history there. I was the first Amos not to go in since the formation of the RAF. What I do for a living pales into insignificancy, really, compared with someone like Douglas Bader, but it's the closest thing to flying without leaving the ground.
Julian, welcome.
Thank you very much.
What a fascinating man.
He's absolutely fantastic, isn't he? Yeah, a real hero. So that's why I'll be amazed if you found this connection, but it would be wonderful.
So he's very strong-willed. Mm-hmm. He joins the Royal Flying Corps, and then he has this accident and crashes. And so I can kind of understand how you feel a connection with this guy, because he's something of a maverick.
Absolutely, yeah.
But in order to try and work this out, we need to have a good, hard look at the family trees of both yourself and Douglas Bader.
Yes.
And if you step back through the Amos line here, you can see the name changing.
Yes.
And we've actually traced that line right back to about 1700. So we've gone back as far as we can. And of course, the other thing that we did is we went out. We went out and we looked at both sides of the family. So now we have to have a look at Bader's tree. Okay. And there's that John Stuart Amos,
yes,
right, that you were talking about, a Francis Amos, right? So there's definitely this, without a doubt, a strong Amos line in there. And then the question comes, do they cross over? It's important to remember the names change a little bit, but whereabouts are these people located? Mm-hmm. So we've gone back to roughly the same points in history. And unfortunately,
what a way.
There's a little bit of distance between the two. Yeah. And so it's highly unlikely that your Amos Ames line is at all connected with the Amos line in Bader's tree. Right. In fact, one of them is Succession Church of Scotland, so Presbyterian, and your ones are Church of England. Yes. So they're separated by church and by state.
Okay.
So we had a good look at your DNA. We looked for any kind of connection between you and anyone who might have shared anything in common with the Bader line. And nothing.
Okay.
In fact, you're probably as separate as two humans can be.
Oh, really?
But what I do love about this story, right, is that this is a connection of spirit. Here is a man, a maverick, right, who wasn't afraid of things, who took risks, defied convention. And I'm sitting across the table from another man who's exactly the same. Defied the convention of his family, didn't go into the RAF, test rides motorcycles for a living. Is something of a maverick himself.
Thank you.
So the connection is strong. It's just not a family connection.
It's just spiritual.
It's a spiritual connection.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, well, that's disappointing, but I would have been surprised had you, but it would have been nice, wouldn't it?
Julian, thank you so much.
Okay, it's a pleasure.
Oh, are you disappointed?
I am disappointed. I can't say I'm completely surprised. And it would have been lovely to find that there was a connection.
Brad said you were part of a family of mavericks.
Yeah.
Is that how you see yourself?
No, I never had. I never had. I'm flattered he said that, actually. I think I probably see myself more as an oddball, as maybe a square peg, round hole kind of guy, but never thought of myself as a maverick before.
Julian, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Now, back to Norma Shaw, whose connection to King Solomon's mines may not have been exactly what she'd hoped for. But will she have better luck with her final mystery about her great-great-great-grandfather?
So, Norma, you had another question about your family's connection with India.
Yes,
So this is Eliza and John Ramsey.
yes. My great-grandparents.
And what specifically were you trying to find out?
Well, when I came across my great-grandmother's birth certificate, I found out that she was born in India before it partitioned and became Pakistan. And I was intrigued because then I found that her father served over there, John Ramsey, and he also died there. So I was very curious to find out where he was and what happened to him.
And you're actually trying to find out where John's buried.
Yes.
So we've got some really interesting stuff to tell you. Here we have the marriage certificate, right? This is for John, Eliza's dad, and Mary Ann Morritt. And what this does is this tells us in 1864 that John is married in Middlesex, right? So we know they're in England and puts him at a place at a point in time. And I want to have a look now at Eliza Ramsey. So this is a transcript of Eliza's birth record. What you can see about this is place of birth. A year later, 1865, where are they? They're in Sabatho, which is in India. It's about 300 miles north of New Delhi. Right. So it's right at the top part of India. So he's in London 1 year. The next year, his daughter is born in India. What's taking him there? He served in the army. He was actually a tailor in the army. Now, this is a period in history when it's the start of the British rule in India. So they needed men, right? They needed men to expand the British Empire and expand the colonies. And so he went in to the regiment. And you can see him moving about the country. And the way you can trace him is from the birth of his children. He moves around a little bit, maybe 100, 200 miles away from there. So this is a map of India at that time. Right. So just to put it into context, the area that we're talking about is around here. I can't imagine what it was like to go from London to that spot on the map at that point in history. It's quite a challenging environment. We've got some great information now, so we're able to build this family tree out. Here we can see John and Mary Ann with their 3 children, Eliza, Robert, and William. And look at when John dies, 1872. He's a young man, right? He's 32 years old. Mary Ann is a young woman. He leaves behind a young family. I can't imagine what it would have been like for her and the kids. We know he's in India, but for you, the question is, where in India? Because it's a big country.
Mm. And what happened to him afterwards? Was he brought back or was he buried there?
This is a burial register.
Right.
For John Ramsey, right? Which tells us that he's actually buried in the ground in India. It says there, 1872, January 11th, John Ramsey, 32 years, Sergeant, Master Tailor. It gives the regiment cause of death, which translates into modern parlance as essentially fever. So it could have been malaria, could have been anything, but it was essentially the final cause of death was a fever.
Right.
And of course, it gives us a place. Dugshai. Right? So we know where in India. Now, normally when you're doing family history, this might be a spot where you'd stop. But we were all so engrossed in this story that we just wanted to push it that little bit harder. And so there's one more thing we've got to show you. And it's this. This is his headstone in India.
Wow.
And you can see there that it was erected by his widow.
Gosh. That's amazing. Can't believe you found that. I really can't. It's like the end of the story, really.
Norma, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's marvellous.
So, Norma, you got rather more than you bargained for today.
I got a lot more than I bargained for today. That was just amazing.
What was it like to see the picture of the gravestone for the first time?
Absolutely amazing. It is nice to know that there is something that commemorates him way back when.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for asking me. It's been an absolutely wonderful experience.
Good.
So, My Family Secrets Revealed has confirmed the location of Norma's great-great-great-grandfather's burial place as Dugshai, a town in northern India. We've also uncovered a link between her grandfather and the man who inspired the main character in the novel King Solomon's Mines. What a fantastic result for the family.